to Star Trek Adventures 2020 and the current mission, which is Rescue at Xerxes, Part 2. Quickly recap what has happened so far. Five Academy graduates were on their way to Narendra Station to accept their first assignment on the USS Dharma, which is the latest Nebula class starship that Starfleet has launched. On their way there, in their runabout, they were hailed by Captain Nobunaga with the message that there is a science team on the planet Xerxes 4 that is facing some grave danger. It was not clear what the grave danger is and what and any useful information about the science team was not provided. That is, the number of people on the ground, their objective, so on and so forth. You were provided with a heading to Xerxes 4, which Officer Salas punched in and brought the runabout to the planet. As you guys came into the view of the planet, you saw that there was a large, almost planet-wide ion storm currently occurring. You guys did some tasks to figure out the best approach through the storm, and with some nifty engineering and nifty engineering from Boss and flying by Salas, you guys land safely in a clearing. During your descent, you do see that the distress beacon that is pinging is atop top somewhere up here. It was clear once you started coming in that flying the runabout to that location would not be possible in the current situation that's on the planet. You guys landed, took stock of a situation, at which point you were attacked by what looked like devolved Neanderthal-like humanoid beings. What was odd or strange was the fact that they were wearing a Starfleet uniform, but torn and ragged, and it wasn't clear they were officers or they just borrowed the uniform from the officers. That wasn't clear. Officer Chon and Officer Hogg kind of gave chase and were able to capture one of these Neanderthal individuals. Not observation. What do you say? Analysis by your science officer and your medical officer. You were not able to kind of determine what exactly is ailing this individual, if they were Neanderthals to begin with, or they are actually like Starfleet science officers. You are able to secure this individual after Stalek, the medical officer, incapacitated this Neanderthal, and Officer Chon, basically using like a jury-rigged harness, was able to secure the individual in your roundabout. As the scene opens, the five of you are basically are headed into the forest. Before you left, you were able to kind of create like a route from your ship to the science station, and one of the tricorders is basically helping you with the actual routing. Your science officer was also able to program another tricorder to just keep an eye on the storm, basically give you constant updates as to its trajectory, and if you guys are in danger of the storm coming, your way, and if it does, when that would actually happen. So at this point, you have one tricorder that is kind of looking for the storm, one tricorder that is showing you the route. and then you have the rest of your tricorders. You also know that the forest has some poisonous flora and fauna, um, and your tricorders are actually set to detect it. So that is where our scene opens, with the five of you heading towards into the forest. I'll open the table for any role play at this time.
As we're making our way to the forest, I noticed that y'all two have been working with your tricorders. And Boss Hog, he reluctantly reaches down and realizes that he has one of his own. He decides that he wants to join in and starts fiddling with his, and then ultimately he'll look over to Stalik and he'll go, "You, Vulcan, when you were running diagnostics of our captive, did you know what his vitals were by chance, his body temperature?"
All vitals appeared normal.
I'm talking about what was his body temperature precisely, do you know? I'm trying to adapt my tricorder. If what I'm trying to do is successful, which it should be, I'm going to record our current temperatures and mask them from detection, and maybe come up with some kind of array to tell if he comes back within our vicinity.
Yeah, and Stalik boops away on his little tricorder to pull up the history of the recordings of the individual and shows them to Boss.
Excellent. So, Boss, Stalik shows you the data, and you're able to program your tricorder. How do you go about it?
This would be what I'm trying to do. The formula I'm trying to do is to take our current body, our own current readings, and trying to estimate for, like, doing mathematical equations in my head, trying to guesstimate where our body temperature would elevate if we exerted this much and stuff like that. And what I ideally want to do is to hide our body signatures from the tricorder. But I also want to set parameters to detect the humanoid's body temperature. Kind of, instead of a motion alarm, it'll be a thermal alarm that's kind of like directly keyed to that thermal range span.
Okay, cool. So that I'd say would be, let's see, do a reason plus engineering on that.
Okay, region. Do you want engineering or science?
No, I would say actually, yeah. Let's do science. Do reason plus science.
Yeah, I'm trying to apply a biological function to an engineering application. I have uncanny intuition itself, just kind of wisdom and common sense. I've always been good at fixing things, and we'll just do straight up and see what comes up. So, science, reason, 2.20 by default. I don't think I have any applicable focus. Nah, nothing towards biological sciences. And what kind of difficulty rating?
I would say for this, it would be a 1, given the amount of information you have.
So I got 2 successes.
Excellent. So yes, so you're able to program your tricorder to detect any beings projecting that signature, giving you an advanced alarm if such a being comes within certain range. I would say given the time, anything that comes within medium range of you, your tricorder will be able to detect it, given that kind of body signature.
Okay, I'll personalize the momentum gained from the extra success.
Cool. So I
Well, no, I was just gonna take it to myself.
No, so that's how for the momentum, how that works is, you you can either use it immediately for something, or if you cannot, then you put it into the group.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Cool. So you now have pretty much all your tricorders, except for I think Salis is all set up. One is showing you the route, one is detecting the plants, one is detecting the um, for the approach of any of these hostile beings, and one is keeping an eye on the storm. So what would be your marching order into the forest?
Sean would be first.
Okay.
Boss would probably try to take the middle.
Okay.
I mean, by tricorders, it should probably be like plants, map, and then at the back should be like storm, right?
Yeah, I think Amara Zoet was doing the storm, so I can do the rear guard. That's fine.
Cool. So you have Sean, Boss.
Stallic would also want to be towards the front, scanning
cool.
for any maybe excessively potent plants or like spores, perhaps.
Perfect. So as you guys are walking through the forest, how this is going to work is you're going to help each other out to keep each other safe. So let's start with Stalek. So Stalek, you're using your tricorder. You're kind of, though Rinan is leading, you're a few steps behind him, kind of abreast to Boss, using your tricorder to scan ahead, looking for any plants in your path. So for that, roll a reason plus science. With this one, the task difficulty would be 1 because you know kind of what you're looking for. Sorry.
I do not believe I have a focus.
Yes, you do have focus? Okay.
No, I don't think I do. No. Infectious diseases?
Yeah, that's just for this one you already know, so there's not really a focus necessary.
Okay.
You're just you're just kind of being aware of the situation around you. Perfect. So yes, so you are able to keep an eye on all the plants, and how do you guide Rin and the rest of the group?
So as Renan's moving forward, he probably is looking for plants and he's avoiding them. And Stalek, at the edge of his tricorder's frame, notices a puff of almost looking like smoke spores kind of in the air right where Renan's walking, and just quickly shouts to the right side of the path, you may breathe in those spores, as he points up and to the left above Renan's head.
Excellent. So, Renan, so now with this happening, with Stalek telling you that, hey, these particular plants, which have this kind of first specific characteristic of like a flower that looks puffy and can be, emanating spores that would be harmful to you. You start keeping an eye out as well with this additional information. I want you to roll control plus security as you guide the group also.
So would I roll task security with control as the thing, as the main...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, with the task difficulty being 1.
Kind of see this like I'm doing a chicote off a Voyager, the American Indian tracking the ground while they's tracking the parent plants. I'm on radar for incoming.
Perfect, awesome. So you generated an additional momentum, which is awesome. We add that here. So you're also able to, navigate. So how does that look, the rest of the group?
So Stalek points at it, I look up, and goodness, good catch, Stalek. And I would start shifting my steps to sort of avoid any kind of spores that I see. Be mindful of the spores, the smoke, the clouds. Keep your eye out on those in particular, Stalek. I'm looking for the plants.
Excellent. And finally, while all this is happening, boss, you kind of sense that the forest, while it is fairly quiet, there's still some movement in your periphery. So given the fact that you have programmed your tricorder to detect, go ahead and roll uh, uh, a presence plus uh, um, I would say presence plus science.
Science or security?
I would say in your case, you're looking for the bio readout on the thing.
Okay, so science.
Yeah, that way I'm saying science, yeah.
And it's presence.
Yeah.
And any difficulty still 1 or 2?
Difficulty still 1 because you have programmed your tricorder pretty well, so you know what you're looking for. Perfect. It's just that you were kind of I guess I'm using a second meaning to the word presence. It's just like a presence of mind, not just like a presence of persona over here. But you're able to, keep an eye out, and also, even though you hear certain movement further ahead, you're able to help your group steer clear of it. Anything else at this point in your activity that you would do as you're trying to guide the group?
Just be like, no signs of the other primitive side, but would be wary we're not alone in the forest. Looks like it has its own indigenous species and wildlife. Hope they weren't bitten by anything.
So you guys walk through the forest, and you're keeping an eye with Salus's help. You're keeping an eye on the route you're supposed to take. You walk for about for a good, I would say, 30 to 45 minutes through the forest. Keeping eye on each other and on your tricorders, and just ensuring nobody kind of steps in the wrong place or gets affected by any of the plants around you. At the end of the 30 to 45 minutes, you come across this particular stone face, and looking at your tricorder, Salus, you see that it is actually, the route actually takes you up the stone face. Anything you would like to add as roleplay at this point when you see that?
So Salus will speak up and she'll go, so, looks like we're going to have to climb the face, though. I'm not sure if we're equipped to climb it. We might have to go around. And who knows how long that'll take.
Boss will just step up to it, even though he's only I think they're like 5'10" at the tallest. He'll just look up and he goes, it's not bad at all. Used to do work at strip mines. Worse than this. We got any rope?
Excellent. So when you say the word rope, and you mention how you used to work in the strip mines, boss, make a let's see, insight plus engineering on this one. This is to kind of look in your surroundings to see if actually wait, I would say reason plus engineering, not insight plus engineering. Reason plus engineering, to see if there's anything that in your surroundings that would help.
And remind me what values are used for again.
Values are generally used as a way to kind of guide your character, define your actions, and they also come into play when they can positively help a situation or negatively help. If so if it helps, if it affects a situation negatively, but you're still going to act on it. So like, say your values say do no harm onto others, but you see that your team's under attack and you have to now fire your phaser. That would challenge your value, and if you do proceed to attack, then you get a point of determination. We strike that value, and then later on discuss what new value you would now be following.
Okay.
Excellent. So you see around you, boss, that there are trees with vines on them, and your tricorder does not ping for any harmful substances on this vine. How do you use this information, and what would be your next activities?
I have to spot the vine, go over to it, and scan it. When I don't see anything, I'll put part of it in my hand and scan it some more, and then look up at it, tug at it, and debate if I might be able to snap it free, or if it, that ultimately try to see if it would support my weight just by just hanging off of it.
And you see that when you start tugging on these vines, you get the sense that they are strong, but you would have to use a few of these vines, cut them up, and then maybe intertwine them to make a strong one. Do you share this information or these ideas with anybody else in the group?
I'll definitely look at the security dude to go, John, is that how you pronounce your last name?
Yeah.
John, you any good with that phaser?
Of course, I'm well trained.
Think you can hit the top of these and get us some vines down? I could fashion a rope.
I think so, but I don't want to start a fire in these woods.
Just calibrate your weapon to low intensity single fire. Short pulse. You should be fine.
Yeah, so I set it to low intensity and try to hit the top of this vine that he's pulling on.
Cool.
Longer the better.
So go ahead and make a phaser attack, Renan, with and you do have a focus. Yes. And the task difficulty on this would be there's no task difficulty on the attacks; it's automatically baked in. So
that's a 19.
Okay, 19. So you're fine. So that's 0. So you fire the phaser, and you end up not hitting the exact mark that boss would like you to have hit. You end up cutting the vines a little shorter than what is necessary. So boss and Renan, how do you guys role play that particular outcome? What do you guys do?
Probably have the vines fall on me. And he's like, goes through and get him. Let's see what you're done. Not as good as I'd probably done it, but oh well, it'll make do.
I suppose I could climb the tree next time to be certain.
I could have, but knowing my luck, I'd get snagged on something. And old Stalik there would go crazy with his readings, poking and prodding. Let's make do with what we have for now. Anyone here good with weaving? Start braiding like 2 or 3 bundles together. Look like we have quite a bit of vines to go through.
So Mara steps forward and says, I can help you. And kind of like sizes. This is not what he had in mind when he got off that ship, and then begins to try to weave the vines together.
Make yourself useful and get down to the end. Hold these 3 together.
Stalik is looking for like a optimal anchoring point at the top, perhaps, or like a path to climb that would be the easiest.
Okay, cool, awesome. So boss, I'm assuming that you're taking the lead, creating creating like a rope with that vine, intertwining the various strands, with Amara helping you. Correct?
Yeah, braiding vines like that. It'd just be like actually just doing a garlic knot bread. You just take the three, intertwine them, and make sure that the knot each end's not.
Excellent. So you guys take about 5 to 10 minutes to braid those vines together to form a pretty strong rope. While you're doing that, Stalik, roll a reason plus science to look for any to look for a viable path on that stone wall. So how do you go about that, and what are you looking for?
I'm gonna go ahead and use a momentum A because we're at 5, and B because I want to find a good path.
Okay.
But so you said science, and he is so first he basically changing the settings on his tricorder a little bit, starts scanning the wall and looks for maybe the easiest place to climb, and then as he gets to the top, he's looking for maybe something that they can throw an anchor up top to just hook in and climb it that way. Science and reason.
Science and reason, yeah.
While I'm braiding a rope with Amara, I'll look at him and I'll go.
Oh my!
I suggest one or both of us give a scan of the rock itself, see if it's weak or strong.
Amara says, "My tricorder isn't used to track the storm. Is anyone not using their tricorder currently?"
And I would pull my tricorder off my belt and toss it to him.
Amara stands up and catches it kind of awkwardly and looks down at it, and he's like, "I'll do it." And he kind of steps away from the rope and starts scanning as well, as Stalik did, if that's possible.
Go ahead.
Basalt or granite would be ideal, but some kind of weak strata like limestone or shale, that flakes, makes anchoring points hard.
What do you want me to roll, Zypher?
So in your case also, it would be reason plus science if you're also trying to find a path based on the recommendations of boss.
I'm also going to use a momentum.
So if a critical fail like that, it doesn't remove a success though, right?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so you just get a threat, right?
So hold on. So I think I forgot to ask. So when you said you wanted to use a momentum, you use that for an additional die, correct?
Yeah, I rolled 3. I had one was nothing, one was a success, and one was a 20.
Okay. Yes, Amara, you can go ahead and use a momentum as well to roll.
I'm going to roll 3 dice then.
Okay.
And I'll. Can I expend the momentum immediately to make basically to find a anchor point that might be next to a ledge where we could walk up easier since we're a little short? Something like that.
So you realize that when you look at the rock face, you realize that the way the rock face is that there is a path. Somebody can climb up that path to get to the top. There is no viable anchor point, but you get the sense that somebody could kind of wrap the rope around them, climb up with the path you have, and then find a better anchor point up top, where you can see up top there are larger and sturdier trees, thus making it easier for everybody else to use the rope and that path to get up there.
Right. So Amara would say his part, and he basically looks at Boss and says, "There's no way we can throw this vine up and attach it to anything." And he looks at Stalik and says, "Did you find any path up?"
So Stalik, you too found a path up. And this is where I want to kind of make things interesting. Stalik, you believe your path is the right path. And Amara, you believe your path is the right path. What happens at this point, Stalik?
So did Amara point out his path?
No, he did not.
So first, then Stalik would just say, point at his and say, "This is clearly the most optimal route to the top."
I would not say clearly, look there, and he kind of points and kind of like extends his arm and kind of moves it in a semicircle to show the path that he had found.
He says, "Of course, I checked over there for a moment. Obviously, there's a jetting rock there, a hole there. It's not as easy as this path." And then he points at his.
He just shakes his head and he's like, "I don't believe I agree," but he kind of shrugs and looks at the others.
Yeah, and Stalik looks at the others as well, kind of like...
Stella speaks up and she goes, "It doesn't matter which path we take, I'm sure Boss can climb them both."
No, Amara looks at Boss.
As does Stalik.
Boss just kind of shrugs, takes both of the paths under advisement while he's trying to find one of his own.
At this point, I would say that you have the two paths in front of you. Finding more paths is not going to give you much. So the decision would be, what would you like to do with the paths you have provided and the rope you have?
I'd be able to traverse the same about equally.
Hey, Cypher, can I use one of my momentum to make sure we select the correct path? Is that...
Yes,
because I got 2 momentum, right? So
perfect. Yeah. So you can use your momentum, and Amara, you do realize your path is the better path. What is your response to the group with that information that you have?
yeah, so Amara basically takes his tricorder and turns it on and like scans his path and scans Stalik's path, and he brings over the tricorder and shows Stalik the data, and he's like, "Look here, the angle on your path that you've chosen is 70 degrees in this spot and 85 degrees in this spot. That's going to be very difficult. Plus, if you can see, there's moss growing and it's very wet in this area, which will cause people to slip in some cases." And he goes over to his data and he says, "And my most severe incline is 68%, while most parts are dry and should be able to be walked upon without slipping."
Stalik looks at the data from your tricorder and sees that it's clearly correct, and he says, "You are quite right. Your path is better. Very well done."
Even though his nature's gruff, he'll politely support Amara's findings by going, "Less vegetation means less chance of exposure. I'll go with Amara's."
Amara just nods and steps back.
Would you please excuse me? I'll pop a squat. I'm going to take the Star Trek slippers off and expose my cloven hooves. Better traction in those things anyway.
Cool. So, so boss, as you proceed to climb with the rope, kind of, I would say that I think the rope is kind of tied around you, right, like across your.
I'd probably have a section around the waist, and the rest would be shouldered up on the high shoulder and armpit.
Perfect. So, feel free to role play how you climb this rock face, and then we can roll your appropriate task for it.
Well, you notice one thing off the get-go is Boss Hog is part billy goat, because he's actually got a very good athletics and a very good fitness. So he takes to the rock just like a billy goat. And he's off from the get-go. It's just, just pouncing and just clutching where he needs to and starts swinging. Then he starts, gets the traversal pulled apart with ease. But when it starts to get to the tricky Tom Cruise cliffhanger stuff, that's where he kind of furrows his brow and starts to think for a minute. He ponders leaping across or crawling across and ultimately decides with whatever's best. Never once does he look down. It's always up and.
So, I want you to roll your fitness plus on, because you are navigating up across this rock face, and you do have your focus of athletics. So, roll that. The task was when you folks first arrived at this point, the task was extremely difficult with the teamwork that you have shown. The task now stands at a difficulty of 3.
3.
Yeah.
I spend 1 momentum
to add 1 more die. Okay.
Yeah. So I gotta. How do I roll again for that?
Just roll a d20. There's a macro that you can just click in. Nice. So you do get 3 successes. And how does that look, boss, to everybody else?
He got 3 out of 3. It's nothing fancy, but once he gets to the element, he looks like he's a little strained out. He'll like do the tension building slip, then he'll clench in with his hooves and manage to catch his footing, then leap pretty much and gets to the spot. He's staggered down, drop down to one knee and kind of breathe heavy. Then finally he'll turn around and look down at you, realizes he's at a good point, and just wave once with a single hand and start undoing the vines off of his shoulder.
As soon as he's up, without like really skipping a beat, he looks to the Runin, the security officer, and says, "You should probably go next. You can cover us from the top if you're up there. If you're down here and we get ambushed up top, there's nothing you can do."
And does that sound like a good assessment to me on my end as far as security goes?
Yes, yeah, you know from your experience that having the high ground is generally most advantageous if you have threats nearby that you do not have a very clear read on all the time. Right, so yeah, that suggestion definitely makes a lot of sense and matches with what training you have received, John.
So I would holster my phaser and right, good call, Stilic. I recommend you get your phaser out while I'm doing this climb, however, just in case they, or he, or whatever that was, that Neanderthal comes back and is down here at the bottom. Be ready.
And Stalic nods.
Wait, Stalic, so how do you respond when Sean says that have your phaser at the ready?
Yeah, he just nods. Oh, I guess he would full disclosure though with Stalic, so he says, "I do not carry a phaser."
And I would sort of raise an eyebrow at him and, you don't carry a phaser?
I find they bring tension in patients when they see a phaser. I generally stick to my hands.
I see. And I just looked to one of the other two, and one of you might want to have your phasers ready then, just in case.
Salis, what about you when Jin says have the phaser at ready? What is it? Do you have any response or anything you'd like to add?
She'll probably just nod and take it out.
Okay. So
begin my climb, of course.
actually,
The rope's ready.
before you start that, boss, you're now at the top and you're looking around. I want you to make uh, a reason plus engineering roll to find the most suitable tree to use as an anchor point for this rope. Okay. So you do find a tree that you find is suitable as an anchor point, and you wrap your.
I thought I was the anchor.
You would the no. You would still need to be on the safe side. You would still need to kind of wrap it around the tree rather than you just holding it, right? So you can still hold it in one hand. Like if you've seen like mountain climbers rappelling up stone faces, they'll generally wrap it around and they'll still hold it. So you still have control to make sure.
Yeah,
that
it's a rappel lead. Yeah.
Correct. So you would still have to wrap it around a tree. You believe you have found a tree that is most suitable for this exercise. When you proceed to wrap the vine around it and drop the vine down. At this point, Drinan, you may begin your climb and roll play it as you see fit, and then I'll let you know what task you will need to roll.
Ooh.
What's that?
Drinan. John.
Yeah. All right. So repeat that again. You were cutting out on my end. I apologize.
Oh, I was cutting out. So okay, let me repeat. So boss is able to find a tree that he believes is a good anchor point. So he wraps the vine rope around it, and also has it in his hand to ensure that it is sturdy and safe for the rest of you to climb up. Given that you'll be the first one to attempt the climb after boss, go ahead and role play it, and then I'll let you know what to roll for the task.
So I trust boss, but I would still just out of habit tug on the vine a bit to see if it's steady, and as long as I'm comfortable with it, I would just go ahead and start to scale, going off of that vine.
Okay, cool. So I would say in your case, as Stalik would have shown you the best path as well, and you saw also boss proceed up the path. So go ahead and in your case roll a fitness plus a security task.
What's my difficulty?
Your difficulty in this case would be a 2.
How much momentum do we have right now?
You guys all of you have 2 in the pool at this moment. Remember, you can also use threat or spend it as well. So.
I'll go ahead and just I'll try it without. Bang.
Excellent. So you are able to climb the rock face pretty well. However, just as you are about to crest the rock face, the tree that boss actually wrapped it around snaps, and boss realizes that it was not really the tree around which he wrapped it was more like a branch. What ends up happening is, boss, the vines actually almost let go through your hand and start zipping past. Rinan, you almost topple down the rock face, but at the last minute, boss is able to kind of, hold the vines together to let you climb up. You both have a close call where Rinan almost fell I would say at least 300 odd meters down, and would have been hurt pretty badly if Boss was not able to catch the vines at the last minute.
Of course,
So
near
as-
this, just grab a hold onto the vines, like what?
So Boss and Renan, you guys are up there now, and you saw that the tree that you kind of initially wrapped it around was not very sturdy. So what do you guys do at this point? Because there are 3 more of your group at the bottom who need to climb up.
So when I first got up,
desperately.
Good.
I was just saying, I desperately dragged Chon to safety first, and I politely cursed the tree.
And what happened? Oh man, I hate that I don't remember what our. Would be officers, lieutenants, or lieutenants, right? Ensigns.
No, ensigns. But you can just call each other like by your first name or office.
Goodness, boss, that was close. What happened?
I don't know. It's a lousy tree. It was either undeveloped or some kind of sponge rot, maybe. All I know is that the rope literally cut to the side of it.
Well, it was good reaction time to keep hold of that. I wouldn't have liked to have fallen that distance. I think we should find a new anchor point, or perhaps the 2 of us would just hold this vine as best we can for those that remain at the bottom.
Yeah, we should do something. Maybe the 2 of us ourselves, we could hold it.
Cool. So in this case, I want you both to roll fitness and fitness and security for this. Given that you're using your strength and insight into how dangerous the situation is, you're doing your best to maintain the rope stable and steady for the rest to climb up.
Athletics help at all?
Yes.
Would you consider this to be a teamwork style task where I'm assisting him?
Yes, definitely. So, so in this case, I would say that boss, you have your focus of athletics at apply here. You're using your core strength and your knowledge of what it takes to kind of climb rock faces, because you've seen this been done before in your homeworld. In the case of Chon, I would say your composure. You know that the task that you almost fell down, and you know how dangerous this is. So your composure focus applies here.
Mm-hmm.
So, boss, you roll 2d20, or you can buy more. The task difficulty at this point is 2.
Okay. You said I'm rolling con and fitness?
No, fitness and security.
Okay, security.
And Renan, in your case, you're just rolling 1d20 because you're assisting.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be fitness and security as well, with the applicable focus of composure.
Okay, I'm just rolling 1, so got it.
Excellent. So you guys are completely secure in your belief that you have a good hold of the rope, and anybody climbing from below will not face the same danger that Chon you just faced. In addition, I believe you would like to bank that additional momentum, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. So who's going up next, and what do you guys do, and how to do you like shout down or?
Yeah, I would. Once we've got it secure, I would look to Hog to make sure he's satisfied with how we've got it set up. And whenever I've got confirmation from him,
Oh yeah, I'm actually taking my shirt off this time and laid it down in between like 2 rocks. Put the vines in between the rocks, and then planted my hooves on either side of the rocks. That way I'm good and anchored, and then the rest would be you pulling up and then leaning down to give them a hand.
And I would nod to Hog and look down. All right, it's set and secure. Whoever's coming next.
Zalis will turn and look to Stalik and go, "You're not armed. If you're down here by yourself, well, if something comes, then there probably won't be much of you left."
But if I go up before you and then you fall, we will fix you so you can climb again.
At this point, I would say Amara kind of steps in and says, Salis, I do have a phaser with me, and I'll um, keep Stalix safe if anything does approach us. You should go up as quickly as possible, and then with you up there, you can cover us from top.
All right. And she's gonna climb up as well.
Cool. So in your case, I would say do a fitness plus. I would say do a daring plus con, right? Because I think you've never tried something like this before. You never. Do you have any experience like climbing rock faces and?
Nope.
Okay. So how does this look as you climb this rock face on an alien world for the first time?
It's probably like it's up as maybe like something stopped, like the rope moves weird, but she takes this second to like look around and look out at everything and just take in the world as it is before continuing up.
Excellent. So go ahead and roll your daring plus con with the task difficulty of 2.
And the dice pool is 2 dice, right?
The dice pool is 2 dice. If you'd like to use momentum, you can take 1 to make it 3 or more.
And the difficulty is 2, right?
The difficulty is 2, yes.
Then I'm gonna take them all.
Okay. Excellent. So you are able to climb up the rock face, doing something for the first time that you've not done before. Kind of proud of yourself to have like climbed it and under such intense pressure. Up next is Stalik and Amara. Who would go first?
Stalik.
Cool.
Oh man, no, sorry. I was gonna say Stalik would suggest Amara goes first.
All right. So Amara tries. In her case, let's see, what does she have? She would do her daring plus security to try and get there with the task difficulty of 2. And she succeeds. And Stalik, you're up.
All right, so he probably looks really mechanical about this, like something you'd see in a book, because he's probably doing it exactly like he saw it in a book one time. So it's like he's holding the rope as he's got 2 feet on the rocks and like pulling up on the rope 1 step at a time, hand over hand. And it's, what is it?
Given that description, I would say you're being careful and sure of what you're doing. I would say use your control plus security.
So con plus security?
No, control. So do a task
control.
security with control, yeah. With the task difficulty of 2, and you can buy...
Yeah, I'm going to use a momentum.
Okay.
Oops, I put it at 3, but it was 2. Oh, man.
Nice. So you use a momentum, but you're able to... How does this look as you get this great success of climbing that rock?
I mean, it probably looks literally like this is someone who's never... Well, he's definitely like traversed terrain probably similar to this, but much easier to climb, not having to use a rope. Like rock face is meant for climbing. But this looks like something that would be out of like an info or a like a description video for how to climb the face of a rock as he, hand over hand, foot over foot, just up the side, never slipping, never, faltering like he's done it 1,000 times, and gets to the top.
Nice. So you guys have all traversed the rock face, and you're all up top over there. Anything you'd like to add at this point before you proceed on?
Once everybody's secured, I'll put my shirt back on after shaking it off. Trying to think of what to do with the rope. Just leave it hanging, or to...
Yeah, no, Stalik, I was actually going to say that as Stalik got to the top, he starts coiling up the rope as he's walking towards Boss. And then once it's all the way coiled, just hands it to him since he's still anchored.
Before Boss is able to put his shirt back on, I'm going to have somebody scan it for spores, just to be sure.
Excellent. Do you scan it yourself, Stylus, or do you bring it to somebody's attention?
I can't scan it because of my...
because your
order is the map.
Correct.
So I bring it to someone's attention whose tricorder isn't being used, or whose tricorder is specifically being used for this.
I had been checking for spores and stuff on things earlier.
Then I will bring it up to you.
Because Boss's nature, instinctively, he doesn't know what poison is, really. They're resistant by nature, so it's like, get bit by a snake, okay, whatever.
Ow, stupid snake.
So if you tell Stalik as he hands the rope to Boss, he would scan the shirt.
Go ahead. This would be just a science plus a reason of task difficulty 0. You can just leave the task difficulty for 1, and then I'll just ignore it.
Yeah, difficulty 0 means you don't have to roll, but if you roll, you can either generate momentum or a complication.
Yes, exactly. So, Stalik, what happens when you do it?
He checks for spores, and there's nothing on it, and then he would actually probably pick the shirt up for his comrade, and then hand it to him. And looking at it was Salus that said it, I believe. It is clean.
I frump when they take it away, but I understand the reasoning.
He doesn't take it away. He's picking it up and taking it straight to you,
so you're beating
handing it to you, friendly.
That was just completely stop you from touching it in the first place.
Grunt and shake it again and put it back on.
It's best we know than hope.
Yes, I understand.
Cool. So you guys are now at the top of the rock face, having coiled the rope. Boss, are you going to carry it with you as you trek to the science station?
I can shoulder it. Yeah, that's no problem.
Cool. So you guys continue your trek with Salus kind of keeping you guys in line. Making sure that you continue to remain on the path. You also notice that as you guys are going up in elevation, the tree line is starting to reduce. There is more moisture and like a mist in the air. It is definitely cooler up here than it was where you landed the runabout. But with the vegetation kind of becoming more sparse, you all kind of starting to feel that the flora and fauna is not going to affect you as much. So as you continue your trek, the strong winds. The strong winds caused by the ion storm and the strangeness of the landscape begin to play tricks on your mind. Flashes at the corner of your eyes hint at lurking terrors hiding in the cracks in the ground. Are the wind whip plants moving on their own, approaching you? Not quite sure. The occasional nod at carcass of a dead animal suggests that a large predator may be in the area, but you're not sure because you don't really see any tracks per se. And soon you find your heart racing and you're breathing heavy. You guys are free to role play these this as you start feeling these effects. And
You said that there was no tracks, but it looked like there was a predator nearby.
correct. You see that there are like small, small gnawed at carcasses, like human, not human, sorry, animal remains that have been eaten. Your heart is racing. There's kind of a light sweat on your brow. You guys feel that your breathing is heavy.
I would probably observe the carcass and just try to get a gauge of how it was. Is this like a recent carcass, or are we talking about like bones?
No, it's just bones. You just feel that some animal hunted some other animal, and it's just the remains of that. Right? It's no different from walking in a jungle and finding like a half-eaten, like a deer or a rabbit or something. Like
So this isn't a fresh carcass. This has been here a while.
that. It's been there for a while, yes.
Do I notice any damage on it?
Sorry, what was that, John?
I was just trying to see if there's like I can get a sense of the damage that's on it, like as far as how it was taken down, how it was killed, and see what we might be walking into here.
Maybe it's multiple things, like something took it down originally and tore it apart, and then other things came and gnawed at the bones.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys, both Salus and Sean, you guys take a closer look at it, and you can see that it doesn't appear anything strange. Just like Salus kind of was thinking of, there are like large claw marks on it that seem to be like a larger predator kind of hunted this smaller creature. And then you also see like small notches on the body, which would kind of mean that some sort of scavenger then later came by and picked the carcass clean. But even though you see all of that, and there is your part of you like, okay, that makes sense, but there is also this fear that is kind of welling up from within you, and an unexplained worry. You guys keep like, your vision. You kind of start darting your vision around, looking left, right, behind you. Kind of getting the sense that something is stalking you.
Yeah, Amara takes his collar and like pulls it out and says, I think we should be going.
Yeah, first thing I'm thinking is when you start hallucinating.
Is anyone feeling paranoid? I feel strange.
Area's weird.
The faster we get this done, the better.
Is there any way to pause our programs on our tricorders to do a surround? Like if I pause my heat program?
Amara has chones, so he would be able to use that, right?
Sorry, what is that? What is that, Amara?
Amara has chones tricorder, so because Wolf was asking about potentially pausing some of our programs are going. So Amar would use Chone's tricorder to basically, you think it's something with the atmosphere, and he like does a check of the atmosphere to see if the oxygen levels are suitable for them.
Look for foreign bodies while you're at it. Something doesn't feel right.
So Amara, you get all this input from everybody around you, and when you look at your tricorder, there is like a delay in cognition. that you're feeling right now. You recognize it's a tricorder. You recognize the buttons you need to press, but it's not clicking in your brain. Something is not clicking. I want you to do a control plus command task at this point.
Control plus command. Okay.
So it's a command task with the control attribute.
Say
With
that
the
again.
task difficulty.
It's command and what?
Command and control.
Okay.
With the task difficulty of 2.
It's a command task using your control ability.
Mm-hmm.
To control delete task.
Let's see. I don't really know his focuses particularly, so let me see. No, definitely not. Task difficulty 2.
Yes. You have 4 momentum banks. If you feel that you want to use a momentum to add a third die, you're more than welcome. Oh, you just rolled it. Okay.
Yeah, I just rolled it. I got it somehow.
So give me a moment.
Yeah, he's like blinking. He's like, I feel like I've been drinking Bajoran whiskey.
Well, have you?
No, sir, not quite.
Is that a thing?
It is now.
That's not in the lore.
Sure it is.
It's in our lore.
Lore is what you make it.
Man, I want to turn into a friggin' Wilbur off of Charlotte's Web.
So, Amara, I've sent you a whisper message.
Mm-hmm.
You can consume that information and then role play it out
Okay.
as you like.
He's like, he's like, he's like, this is fight or flight, I think. Like, in an internal response, not. And he just like shakes his head and he's like, primitive almost. Base instincts. He looks around and I think it's.
And Silas looks up and she goes, "Do you think maybe it's the storm? Maybe it's what happened to those officers."
I don't know about the storm, but definitely something is impacting us. If I had to guess, I think we should hurry up. I don't think there's anything here that's. There's nothing predatory here that is going to come after us. I think it's just our instincts.
Maybe they have unearthed something or someone.
So now that Amara has kind of given you guys this information, there is a part of you that is still trying to like process that and internalize that, and kind of focus your mind on it. But there's also this effect that you're feeling of like almost paranoia, like she put it, this this lizard brain kind of activating in your head, and this fight or flight. So Amara, I would say between y'all trying to help each other to regain composure, how would you go about doing that? And then we can make the task rolls for it.
Yeah, so Amara would go over to Stalik first, and she's like, "You're a Vulcan. Think logically about this. What's happening to us? You should be able to see what I'm saying is true. Push off things that are illogical."
Yeah, and he's already thinking about the lack of tracks. These bodies look old. He just says, "Push quickly to the base."
Cool. So
That's
Stalik,
the course of action.
I need you to make a control plus command roll of difficulty 2. as you try to regain your composure with your thoughts and Amara's help.
And what was that?
Command composure.
Yeah,
Is that
to regain your composure. So it would be command plus control.
I'm gonna use a momentum.
Okay.
Task difficulty 2, you said?
Yes, that's difficulty 2.
Nice.
Nice. So now that Stalek, you have regained your composure and you see the meaning of Amara's words and scientific deductions. How do the two of you help the rest to kind of see the truth in it?
Yeah, Mara, that's Dalek.
Stalek moves to the security officer and he says, kind of repeating the same thing, there is nothing for us here. We must save the people. That is the mission.
There's no tracks, Chone. There's nothing here. It's just whatever's corrupting this place is starting to affect us. We need to move quickly.
So Renan, you make a command plus control task, and with the two of you helping, the task difficulty is now 1.
I'll try without a momentum, and I will use my composure focus.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Make that momentum.
Oh yeah.
Let other people use it, yeah.
So with the 3 of you now regaining your composure, how do you roleplay this out and try and get Chalice and Boss to realize what's happening around them?
And I'd go to Boss, and I'm getting back on track as far as my own mind, but like, Boss, think of higher parts of learning. Don't go into that part of your brain that is primitive. Think of your machines, think of processes, think of complexes.
Scientists here must have assuredly discovered something. Perhaps it's affecting us the same way some animals have deterrence against predators. My first thoughts is something airborne, affecting our minds, perhaps. But yes, we must find the source of it. More importantly, we must find this other scientist and bring him back to safety.
Reign in control of your own mind, Boss. Continue to think logically. Think higher thoughts than the base, primitive parts of our brain we all have. Continue to think that way. And then however he wants to handle the role.
We're nothing more than cogs in the wheel.
Cool. So, Boss, go ahead and make your roll. And how do the rest of you try and convince Salus?
Stalek went to Salus and pointing out the same information that.
I'm going to spend a momentum because I have the untapped potential that I keep forgetting to roll whenever I spend momentum.
Sure. Go ahead.
No,
Salus, you can go ahead and make your roll as well to try and maintain your composure.
And I gain 0 extra momentum, other than the 1.
Okay.
What is the roll again?
It's your command task with the control attribute.
Okay, and using my composure focused, I get 1 more die to the pool?
No, with your composure focus, you can your success range increases from 1 to whatever your command is at.
Okay.
So if you rolled under your command, you generate an additional success based on your right or no?
Correct. And I would say at this point your momentum is at 6, so feel free to use the momentum to ensure that.
Okay, then yeah. If momentum is at 6, I'm gonna definitely use one.
Okay.
Might as well.
You kind of feel that the rest of
And
your
it's
group
one.
has
It's 1 task difficulty.
1 task difficulty. Yes.
Okay.
So basically, what's happening is awesome. So basically, what's happening is that as you see your teammates all kind of shake their head, regain their composures, discuss their the effects and their theories and thoughts about it, you kind of realize that what you're feeling also is just a sensory effect and nothing more, and you're able to shake it off as well. Awesome. Everybody's momentum is at 6. Beautiful. So you guys proceed to continue to walk, shaking the effects of this paranoia off. And as you crest the last hill, you basically come upon the science station. You proceed to walk into the science station. The door is it's closed but not locked. When you look at the science station from the outside, it is intact, but you can see that there is heavy damage that's evident all along the external structure. As you approach it, when you kind of take a closer look at it, you see that they're mostly dents and punctures. Some more, which very much look like what a primitive weapon would have, done to a structure like this. But in a few areas, you do see like the burn marks of a phaser fire evident as well.
Mamara looks at it and scans it for good measure and says, "Looks like our friends have been here."
Stalik, while he's scanning as well, looks to Boss and asks, any heat signatures that you sense?
Look down towards a tricorder and give a reading around.
Currently, Boss, you sense no heat signatures that you have programmed to look for. You find the coast clear around you.
Negative on nearby life forms. I suggest we move to the first available terminal. I can run a diagnostic on air quality and other factors inside.
John's pulling security as they're all doing their thing.
Cool. So you guys see that the door is closed but not really locked. And at this point, you guys open the door and get in. The science station appears empty, extremely run down, which is very, very strange for a Starfleet science station. The lights are flickering. There is a bunch of the control panels that seem to be busted. As you guys walk through the science station, you see that there is, that's the living quarters. One living quarters here with stairs going down. There are some storage units here, some supplies in this location. And you guys come into the main science area. And as you do, when you look around, you see that all the equipment has been vandalized. The living quarters and the kitchens and the laboratories all seem to be in complete disrepute. It's pretty obvious something or someone kind of wrecked this place without any regard whatsoever. You look around, Salis and John, and you see that the communication devices have been smashed. Boss, you look around at the transporter unit over here, and that is completely destroyed as well. So pretty much like the science station is, has been wrecked beyond repair at this point. You kind of go around the entire place, and you find nothing of importance, and you believe that maybe everybody has succumbed to whatever that was threatening this place, when you kind of hear from this behind this door over here, you kind of hear silent sobs and whispers.
Upon hearing that, I would kick into security mode and start using hand signals and stuff to get everybody to stop and point over to where we're hearing the noises.
Does it sound singular?
From where you are right now, it does sound singular. It sounds low and muffled. Definitely humanoid speech. You can't quite make out what the speech is, but it's not like grunts or any animal sounds. It's humanoid speech, but very muffled and low.
Salas will give some sort of signal for stun, like probably the setting number that it is.
Okay.
Stalik would say to Chon, "Get us closer, please," and like get behind him, like one hand on his back, kind of like ready for him to move forward.
Cool. So
I would
this is
signal
the door
for,
you need to go to.
Yeah, and I would signal for Zoet and Stalik us to cover the room. As far as the room we're in, just like our full perimeter security, basically. Just a signal for them to have Stalik and Boss, have Stalik with me, and then cover, and then signal for Boss to come with me as well.
Okay, so Amara is going to move to this location here, covering that entrance to make sure nothing else can come in, and also give you some cover in this direction if anything were to happen. Where does everybody else move to? Okay. So Rinan, you're free to move to that door. And as you get to the door, you sense that it is not really locked. It's locked, but it's not a very difficult lock to open. There is a control panel to the side, and you realize that this is a standard Starfleet issue control panel, and that most science stations have a security override that you can kind of punch in.
And so before I do that, I would look back at Boss and just make sure he's ready. We're going in here.
And
Stalik
is ready for anything hostile as well. If it's something friendly, he's ready to talk. If it's something hostile, he would like to study them.
Okay. So, do you open the door, Renan?
Whenever I get confirmation that Boss is ready, because I want him, he's my backup for the room, so...
Yeah, I'll be crouched down, phaser. I'm stunned.
Alright, so... I just take a couple deep breaths and then punch it in.
Wait, where is...
if you're coming with me, yeah.
I was... My computer... I'm good now. I'm right behind Renan. I'm like got a hand on his back.
Cool.
But Hog's there.
Okay.
And then just I'll lead the way in. Phaser ready, something's done.
Okay. So as you slowly and carefully open the door, Renan, you see on the other side, on a cot, at the back of that living quarters, sits a middle-aged human. She is cradling a man in her arms, and it's hard to tell his age because of that man's strange appearance. The face is kind of sweat-soaked, the hair is ruffled, and even as you're watching Renan, you see that the ridges on his eyebrow twitch and pulse, and it's kind of changing in sporadic fits. kind of imagine like something undergoing metamorphosis. And you see, right? Let me just reveal this. This humanoid person on the other end on the cot. You also realize that she has not become aware that you guys are in the other room and that Renan, you have slowly opened the door. What do you guys do at this time?
I'm going in to clear the room first before I engage in any kind of conversation because I'm on high alert. So I'm just checking corners as I come in, and if there's nothing there as far as other people or sort of relax a bit. But
so Renan, as you kind of take a step, quietly into the room, you see there's no one else in the room. That these are the only two people in there. And the room, like every other room that you guys have seen in the science station, is also under duress. Like kind of, things are thrown around. Like the beds are untidy and unkempt. But there's nobody else in the room apart from the person sleeping on the cot and this lady kind of holding that person in her arms.
So I'd wave them in, and I'd still have my phaser out, but not be pointing at anybody.
Stylic goes straight to the two people and starts looking at the man.
Okay. So
tricorder out.
So just as you step up to this lady Stalik, she turns around with a sudden, because none of you even like announced yourself and you just kind of walked up behind her. So she like turns around with a jolt.
And when she jolts around, Stalik says,
"Hey, Ian, I think your mic is echoing."
No, I'm trying to open a thing of gummy drops.
Oh, okay.
Oh God.
Then just mute your mic if you're doing that. Okay, so Stalik. So what do you say?
As soon as she jolts, he says, "Starfleet, man, we're here to help," and points at him, and he says, "Do you know his affliction?" As he like drops to a knee with his tricorder, like already scanning him as well.
Okay. And dude, just can you just mute your mic, dude? Well, if you're trying to open a gummy bear or whatever.
I'm not doing anything now.
Okay. So she turns around and she's like, "Oh my God, I didn't see you. I didn't see you right behind me. Are you here to help us? My name is Dr. Heidi Ship. I'm the lead science officer at the station on Xerxes. Did you get our distress signal?"
He says, "We did."
Okay. This has been the most difficult past few days. Most of the science team has, for the lack of a better word, devolved into our humanoid ancestors. It all started about a week ago when the ion storm started gathering, and something about it has caused all living inhabitants to go through a process of devolution. And you can see Stalik, like as she's speaking, she's also, like she's got this like look and feel about her that you underwent as you were trekking up to this place. She's got that darting, eye glances, looking left, right, and around her. You can get the sense that there's some part of her that is also paranoid.
Amara would be like looking for a computer terminal to look up any kind of data he can and maybe retrieve it as they're talking.
So Amara, you see that most of the place has been destroyed. So you would have to actually interact with this person and find out what in this facility is actually usable, and kind of get a sense of what they were actually doing here and what's the best play next.
Yeah, he turns and he says, "Doctor, we need to likely get out of here quickly before any more harm comes to any of us. Is there any data you wish me to transfer so we can bring it off this planet?"
We can't just leave yet. There are 13 people in the science team, and they're all around the science facility. I mean, they're in the jungles, yes, and they may be devolved, but they're still Starfleet officers, Starfleet science officers. And my research here is important, and I'm trying to find a cure for Irumodic syndrome. Do you guys know what Irumodic syndrome is and can do? And at that point, all of you realize that, you all know from your time in Starfleet that Irumodic syndrome is a pretty rare and uncommon disease, but those who are afflicted by do end up living very painfully, till death.
Does it include de-evolution?
Do you ask her that?
Yes. Do they devolve with this?
No. No. Irumodic syndrome is not connected to this devolution. The devolution, the devolved science officers. This actually happened a week ago when the ion storm hit this planet. And what happened was, it was slow. We didn't all turn overnight. Some science officers seemed to immediately devolve into their primitive ancestors, while some others took a much longer time. As you can see,
such as yourself.
Yes, but this is Jasper, and then at this point she points to Jasper, that is on the cot, and as you can see, Jasper is still devolving. He's not at a late stage of devolution yet, and I don't know how to save him or stop it.
Get him off the planet would be my advice.
So when she says that, so Stalik's been scanning him, and that's kind of like what he's trying to figure out. Since this person's not completely devolved, and he knows a little more about what's happening to them, he wants to see if he can figure out exactly what's happening and if it's reversible.
Okay. So 1 minute. So in that case, you would have to do insight plus medicine task. But the difficulty for that is pretty high. It would be difficulty 4, because it is pretty clear that he's devolving. All the information you have right now is that it started happening once the ion storm actually started appearing on the planet. Some of the options you have is to get more insight into what this devolution really is, and maybe take some samples. Like it can't be just done in one task. That's
so I guess, yeah. So here's my question: do the tricorders have? Is there a way that I can put a blood sample in it?
You using your med kit, you can take a not really a sample, but you can basically show that you have this kind of piece that basically kind of scans the body and its internal organs.
Right.
Yeah, so you can see it's exactly the how do you say, the effects on Jasper are the same. They're in the early stages of what you saw with the Neanderthal-like creature that you have now kind of secured in your runabout. It's just that Jasper is in the early stages of it. So at this point, you can do your task, but it's not something that you can just resolve outright. You can try and gain more information from it. So would you like to still proceed?
No, so he would ask her, especially like since he kind of realizes that he's just gonna run into the same problems he did before. He'll ask her, "What information do you have on these people's illnesses?" I think I could help.
So it's affecting everything that's living in this area. Humans, animals, plants, everything seems to be devolving into some sort of its previous ancestor. This has also hindered my research into Irumodic syndrome as well.
Amara is like, I think the syndrome that you keep speaking of is not quite the problem at hand. We need to stop everyone from devolving, and if we can do that, then perhaps you can come back here and continue your research, Doctor. But at this point, I think we must try to get everyone off the planet.
And
Salas is going to turn and go, "Yes, we are on a time schedule. The storm will be here soon."
But you do not understand. This is the only planet where we have found the flora necessary to actually maybe even cure Irumodic syndrome. Like, can you imagine finding one planet among hundreds of thousands that have the necessary herbs that may have the key to actually curing Irumodic syndrome? You know how important that is. I can't just leave here without something to show for it.
Mara looks to Stalik and the others and Salas and nods and says, "We were sent here to get you off this planet. That is my orders as I see it."
The herbs will be here when the storm isn't.
That's what I'm trying to say. The herbs will not be here because once the ion storm passes over this area completely, everything living is going to be devolved into some ancestor of its own. Those herbs will be useless.
And Amara looks at Stalik, kind of assuming he thinks for some reason that Stalik is probably their not leader, but seems to be taking his cues from him, and looks at him kind of wary.
Oh, you don't say anything though?
No, I just kind of look at you, kind of giving you the expression of what should we do, kind of, right?
He actually says it seems we're at an impasse. She will not leave. Or, you do not want to leave, but I do not know how to fix what is wrong. Samples? Can we take samples of plants?
And then when you say that, she looks up at you, and for the first time you see that there is like a brief smile to her face, and she says, yes, my notes will help us collect samples. Maybe. Go ahead, Sean.
No, sorry. Go ahead. You can finish.
Maybe if we work together, work together and collect some samples and stabilize Jasper as much as possible, maybe then we can leave. But I fear I don't know what we can do for the rest. The 13 who have devolved, they are sure to perish here if we don't do something.
Try to find as many as we can. Do not know if we can fit them all in the shuttle. I think maybe we should, and I would look over to Zoet and Hogg, maybe the two of you could see about that transporter. I know it's pretty badly beaten up, but we're Starfleet officers. We have to try to think of something. Will all those people fit on the ship, by the way, out of character? I don't think so.
So, you could, if they like, it would be unsafe, but people could just be standing. They might get hurt during the takeoff. The other thing about the
especially if we're going to fly through this storm.
Yes, but out of character, right? I'm creating a scenario for you guys where it's a dilemma, right? Your training has instilled in you that every life is precious and you must do what you can to save. But at the same time, there's also your own lives and your teammates' lives that are in jeopardy. And at the same time, there's also this cure for Irumodic syndrome, which is a pretty big thing, and you can ask Alec about that. How big finding a cure for Irumodic syndrome is.
Mm-hmm.
So this scenario is kind of there to like test you and push you to the limits on what you can achieve in the time you have. So some of the options you have is, using your notes, collecting samples, and taking that with you so that the research can continue. Doing some research on Jasper, maybe getting more samples, like trying to see if there are any Neanderthals outside, or looking for any devolved plants to understand this de-evolution more, right? So some of the options you have in front of you at this point, or you can just the third option is just take her and Jasper and leave, forcefully. So
So Stalek would stop his scan and say, like, stand up from his knee and say, "Doctor, can you give us pictures of the plants you need?"
Yes, most definitely. And then she kind of goes to her bunk and ruffles through some sheets and clothes and comes back with a data pad that she hands you, Stalek. And in the data pad, you can see notes and pictures and like readings of the various herbs that are necessary for to continue the research on Irumodic syndrome. She says, "I'm sure that these are the herbs that we need to continue the research."
And this transport that's here is like a ship, right?
This one here, that's just a transport. That's just a transporter pad. So transporter pads basically work if there is a transporter at the other end of it.
So it would be like if there was a ship in orbit.
Yes, exactly. So if there was a ship in orbit and you guys fix the transporter, then you could basically transport out of here.
Does our ship have a transporter on it?
Your ship, unfortunately, has not been fitted with a transporter. It's an older class runabout that was just kind of loaned to you guys as you make your way to Narendra Station.
So, if we contacted the Dharma, would they be able to get here in time for us to fix this and beam up?
That's actually a very valid suggestion, Salis. But looking around you know that some work will have to be put in to kind of get the communications system back up.
That's why I was going. If I wanted to be sure that was a valid idea at all, because if it was, then I was going to ask Boss if he could come over and try to help me get one of the communicators working, and then work on the transport.
Because it's really a matter of reality, hopeful thinking, because first off, if this facility can even withstand the ion storm, which I feel it can't, then if it's a matter of timing, if we don't have enough time to do all this junk, then by all means we can't. We have to make the tough call.
So as you guys are like having a small chat, all of you at the corner of your eye kind of see Renan signaling you, Chon signaling you all to kind of have a team huddle. So I would say do that. Like this section is kind of meant to brainstorm and test your theories and figure out what's the best course of action.
So John would, once you get everybody together over and we don't have time to do everything here. Our mission is to save these people. I understand that research is valuable and important to many people who suffer from this syndrome, this affliction, but we don't have time to go out and pick flowers. We have to get this, I think, transporter fixed, to establish communication with the Dharma, save as many people as we can in the nearby surrounding woods, and then get off planet. Unfortunately, a couple of us will probably have to run back to the runabout and take it up into orbit ourselves. What are your thoughts? That is what I think we must do.
If we really need to go get that runabout back,
A member of the science team is on the runabout.
Sure, but we have one here.
Stalik says, pulls out his tricorder and pulls up the statistics on this syndrome that she's talking about and how many are afflicted, and says it may only afflict 0.9% of the known population, but that is still much more than 13 members. I believe we must collect as much of these plants as we can, and of course save as many people as we can as well, but the plants are much more important.
In theory, yes. There's nothing, however, saying that this woman herself isn't affected by the environment already. She could be suffering from delusions of grandeur.
Amara looks at everyone and says, "Well, what are we going to do then?"
Well, it looks like we might have to split up. I'll head down and get the runabout. Boss, maybe start working on the communications, get them up and going, and then everyone else try to get the transporter working, keep the doctor.
So, out of character, what's the runabout, or what are we doing with the runabout? Because couldn't we not fly it up here before?
It's just more getting it out of orbit so that we still have the one subject.
Yeah,
But don't we not have a transporter?
Not yet.
So
you
get a transporter working first.
So just a couple of things which I don't mean to keep interjecting you guys, but just important point. The person is secure in the runabout.
Mm-hmm.
If you can transport yourselves off this deck, that means if you can communicate with the Dharma and get it into orbit, and you can transport off this deck, you could also give them the coordinates of the runabout and transport that being off the runabout as well.
Oh.
Okay.
right, that's what I was
So we
thinking.
don't necessarily have to go back there then.
Not necessarily.
If
but
we figure it out.
Amara looks at each of you and says, "Well, if you guys can contact the Dharma, then I would offer my services to go find this flora that we might need to collect."
So Celeste looks to Boss and she...
You cut out there, Flora.
Silas looks to Boss and goes, "Then we should get to work."
Do you know if there's any schematics of this place? I need to know where the power station and the communications array are at.
And so Heidi says, are you talking to Heidi or just...
Yeah, ultimately I'll be asking her, yeah.
Okay, but let me know once your internal huddle is done.
Yeah, Amara looks to Chone and says, "Perhaps I could use some help out there if I get cornered by any primitives. And then you could stun them, perhaps, and then we would know their coordinates to beam them up later."
Stalix says yes, it would be best if you two went.
I still think we should focus on the people, but if this is something we all want to do, then I understand trying to get these flowers so we might find a cure. Fine, I'll go with you.
Get these flowers, there will be plenty of people who will be happy with us.
Plus, alright, so Stalik says, not to mention, while getting these plants, you will probably run across quite a few of them, or if not just as many as if we were all looking.
I just think that we're deviating from the mission, but I understand the need to. Fine, let's get this done.
We've completed our mission. Well, almost. We need to get contact and we need to fix the transporter.
Amara says to Chone, there's nothing we really can do here to help. So if we go and find these things, and he shrugs, it shouldn't hurt anything besides potentially our own safety. At the best, we find some primitives and are able to stun them, and then we have saved another person. Otherwise, it'll be almost impossible to locate them.
Fine, let's go.
He says, before we go... Actually, no, Stalk doesn't say anything. Yeah, so...
And just one more pointer. All of you have comm badges. Your comm badges are working.
Yeah.
So unlike other games, splitting the party is not. It's not taboo.
We're still in contact.
You're still in contact. You can still talk to each other, help each other, give advice to each other. So that is absolutely fine in the game.
Yep. We can totally metagame, and it's fine.
So
So
it's metagame.
when before, I guess Stalk did say though he is staying with them too.
Yeah, that's the same.
Yeah, because keeping the doctor and also running what tests you can currently.
Yeah. So when we break and get to the lady, he says, "Is there medical equipment we can possibly fix to help me further diagnose him?"
We break and thrust all of our questions upon the woman.
Yep. Bombard her.
One at a time. You do not know how happy I am that you are here to rescue us, and do not take my reticence to follow you. Do not misunderstand. Both my parents were afflicted by Irumodic syndrome, and it was painful to watch them wither away. If I can.
Both of them, isn't it rare?
That's the point. In her case, it happened to both. So she's like, the reason she is fighting her every fiber of her being from wanting to leave this place.
I mean, just like, if it's so rare, having both of them be affected by it, chances of that are extremely low, and that's definitely a good reason to have like this much passion about it.
Yep. So she says, Stalik, yes, I can show you where the science. This is our science station right here, and I can help you kind of mend it so that we can do some more study on Jasper. Your name is Salus and Hog, I believe.
Hog is my last name.
What is your first name? I'm sorry. Boss. Yes. Boss. So this is our main control unit for all our life support, water, heat, and our computer systems. And this is our main communication panel right here.
Where do you derive your power from?
the power unit is power unit is right here in this room. And this is the main control unit that basically is our main engineering station to keep an eye on all our various readouts. This being the communication station. Amara and Drinan, so before you guys head out, you get the data pad from Stalik with Heidi showing you some, making sure you understand what the flowers look like and answering any questions you may have.
I would just ask what kind of samples I need to take, etc., like that.
Correct.
Do I need to take the whole flower?
Yeah. So she explains, just the. In this case, like in one case, it's just the flower buds, as many as you can. In one case, it's just these leaves. And the third one is basically just it's more like a shrub, and she just wants the bark of the shrub that is necessary for her research.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So the team is basically Heidi and Stalik trying to figure out the devolution if they can in the time they have. Boss looking at the power systems to try and get the power online the best he can. And then Salis is going to assist him on that and also get the communications back up. Amara and Rinan is like running security while Amara is trying to get the plants necessary for the Irumodic syndrome research, and so everybody's cool on the.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Cool. So let's take a quick 5-minute break.
Sure.
And I'll be right back.
Hey, Zypher, I might have someone play Amara for me since I might have to jet. I don't want to have to bounce in and out, right? So since the party's split, that might make some sense.
Sure. So Drinan, I'm just going to give you also the control of Amara. So you can control Amara as well. Sounds good?
Oh, you give it to me?
Yeah. Go.
Sure.
Amara is our community character.
I won't be talking to myself, so I'm just gonna let you know now. I do that enough already.
Yeah, that is fine. That's cool. Okay, awesome. So let's take a 5-minute break and then finish this last part of the game. Be right back.
Thought I was gonna have to nerve pinch her, and we were just gonna carry these two away.
I'm a realist. If there's not enough power to get communications to the Dharma, there ain't not much we can do except take them and go.
Yep. If we can't get communications to the Dharma, we just have to force this lady and...
I just hit her in the back of the head and drag her down. Give her the old caveman style.
Because she's clearly under the influence of what's going on here, despite her uncanny willpower not to run away. There's nothing saying she's not de-evolving too. Her brain functions all rattled.
Yeah, maybe it's just more mental for her than physical.
We've all seen that in the horror movies where that one lady's frantic, can't leave. No. And what happens? She gets killed.
I really don't care about the people that much. I care a lot more about the disease or the syndrome.
I care more about the storm that's going around decimating everything.
Renan is all about the mission.
Because in all honesty, as soon as we ran into this opposition, as severe this is, we should technically, by Starfleet command, go back to the ship and radio in and say, yo, this is more than we can handle. We don't have the problem. We don't,
you know.
Still, though, if you're ill-equipped and ill-prepared for such a mission, you always call in for backup.
At this point, this is the only feasible option is to call in from here, I think.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have time to walk all the way back. We probably should have done that from the beginning. The moment we saw the
The ion storm?
they knew about the ion storm. I'm talking about the Neanderthals. The moment we saw that, we should be like, hey, this is not a simple rescue mission anymore.
Whoever's good with math and atmospherical sciences should be the one that's trying to calculate how long the storm's going to take. Because in my mind, going out trying to spend 4 hours hunting down flowers and people, meanwhile 20 minutes from now the storm's going to hit us.
No, I already did Salas has already done that math to make sure that her ship wouldn't get wrecked. Now it doesn't matter. So we had 2 hours to come up, about an hour to be here in the station, and then we would have 2 hours to go back down. And then we'd have a whole hour to get out.
But now if the planets just get teleported out, then...
Yep, what's the point?
But we still have time to figure out if it's not going to work and then make it back to the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Swamp, you still need to join the Treads game.
Oh, yeah.
I can send you the link.
Yeah, post it.
There you go.
Cool. Are we good to go? Is anybody waiting on anyone?
I'm here.
I think everyone is here.
I think so. Is he in there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Ah, cool. Okay. Awesome. So what we'll do is we'll try and kind of move the action from, across each group to kind of keep everybody involved and not just, do one thing. Just try and parallelize as much as possible. Cool. So let's start with Boss and Status. So, Boss, when you go to the power unit, you kind of take a look around, and you see that this would require some amount of engineering work. You're free to role play what you see and what is it that you're trying to fix, and your discussion with Salas.
Our first primary thing would be go to the communications array and to see if anything's active. Trying to make sure if there's screens, any kind of powers, subsidiary, tertiary power sources that are lit up. Because if we're gonna try to do this with the Dharma, then yeah, we have to do communications first. If that doesn't work,
while we're in there, Salas is gonna try to get under the and just look for physical problems, if anything is out of place or if any of the wires have cut or anything like that, just to make sure that if we do power this thing up, it'll actually work.
Cool. So let's do it this way. So, boss, when you take a look at the control panel, you see that there is tertiary power still running through it, but it's not enough to power up the whole system. Um, Salis, when you kind of open up some of the power panels and look underneath, you see that they will require some amount of engineering work to kind of reconnect the power conduits that have kind of been taken apart. It's just that it's not like it's been the problem is not being systematically taken apart. It's just been ripped apart. So you point that to Boss, and Boss, you point out to Salis that the communication panel itself is luckily intact, but will take some time to boot up and ensure that it is fully operational before you can actually communicate. So in your case right now, it's two tasks. One is to reconnect all the power conduits for the communication system, and the other one is to operate it and boot it up correctly so you can then proceed to communicate.
So then, boss, you do the engineering and I'll do starting up?
Yeah, I can do that.
Cool. So, boss, I would say in your case, it would be control plus engineering while you try to get the power conduits all reconnected with using your engineering toolkit. I would also say, given your understanding of power systems and electroplasma power systems, you can apply your focus. The task, however, is pretty complex because a lot of the power conduits have been ripped apart. Plus, you'll have to do it in a correct sequence. You get the sense that if you do not do it in the right sequence, you can cause a power surge and potentially even destroy the communication system.
I have a value of has always been good at fixing things. Would that help?
Yes, that would definitely help. You may wish to use a determination at this point. Determinations allow you to add a bonus die that automatically gives you 2 successes. So seeing the task ahead of you, knowing that every action you take brings you and your team closer to being rescued from here and to safety, you can definitely bring that value into focus.
I don't have any determinations marked.
Yes, so you have 1 determination at the beginning of every mission. Okay. And you can get more determinations if certain values are either challenged or struck off from your value list.
Okay.
So in this case, it would be a task difficulty of 4, control plus engineering, with the focus applicable of electro power systems.
Difficulty 4.
Correct. You also have 6
you can only spend more. You can't spend more than 1 though.
No, you can always. So how it works is that with the first momentum point, you can buy 1 bonus D20. Then you spend 2 momentum points to buy the second, and then 3 momentum.
3 points for 2 dice.
Yeah, 3 points for 2 dice. Are you planning to use your determination as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so in that case, you already have 2 successes because of your determination. You need to get 2 more.
Oh, okay. So spend 1 momentum. Yeah, 1 momentum.
Okay, cool.
So I gotta add an extra die. 20 to the roll. Difficulty 4.
Whew.
Yeah.
And I did spend 1 momentum. Go ahead and
So roll 1 more D20.
I got it too.
Keep that momentum back.
Nice, you do get that momentum back. Sweet. So how does this look, boss? Like you are, you're using your determination.
Well, yeah, he doesn't like all the about splitting the group up and stuff, and he's just got the frown on his face. Instead of protesting outwardly, he just grumbles to himself softly, and he says, "We can't do nothing until we figure out what's wrong here first." He starts moving around, and he just kind of looks at the power supply, and he just shakes his head, then he shrugs, rolls up his sleeves, gets down there, hand me that. And that, he's got the wires all wrapped around his head and his mouth. He's clenching them. He's just sweating real furiously, putting it together, and he's like, no, you stay down there, He goes, try this sequence, try it now.
All
Awesome.
right.
Cool. So as soon as Silas, you're watching like boss like work at a furious pace, and in many ways this is the first time you've actually seen boss like this. He's in his element, he's solving problems, he's just being the boss at the point. And before much time has passed, the communication panel completely lights up, and you can see that it's starting to like boot and go through the motions of powering up. I would say in your case, with the astounding success that boss had, go ahead and make a reason plus
Science, maybe?
Yeah, reason plus science to kind of just ensure that the boot up sequence is correct and that there are no glitches happening as the communication system is booting up.
One of my values is know the limits of tech. Would that help me here?
Yes. So I would say it definitely helps you here. Instead of immediately jumping on the communications panel and trying to boot it up quickly, you ensure that each subsystem first boots up and then the main system boots up, making sure that even though power has been correctly restored, you're not sure if any other damage that was not visible to you might come into effect, right? So yes, for sure, I would say you definitely use a determination. So the task difficulty would have been 3. So now you just need to get 1 success.
So, and value, what do values do? Using them for a roll, what do they do?
So go ahead, boss.
I was about to say, values are like, you have to spend determination to activate. Determination is kind of like your last. It's just that 2 successes. Yeah, it gives you 2 successes.
Okay, cool. So then it's a task difficulty 1.
No, sorry, I misspoke. It's a task difficulty of 3. You have 2 successes already. You just need to get 1 more success.
Yeah, if you exploit the value, spend the determination, you automatically get 2 out of the 3 successes needed.
Yep.
I would also use momentum since we had 6, but didn't matter. Got it.
Perfect. Awesome. So Silas, as boss has powered it up, you take the time. These systems. You don't want to rush through things and actually like just boot the whole system up. You change the boot up sequence, ensuring that each subsystem boots up. You run a level 1 diagnostic to ensure that the subsystem is operational. Then you proceed to boot up the next system and the next system till the whole system is up and running. And keep in mind, everyone, for immersion's sake, all this is happening in parallel, so it's not, I'm just kind of resolving things as they go along. Then we'll move to Stalik. So Stalik, as at the corner of your eye, you see Silas and boss kind of working away furiously to get the communication systems up and running. You are taking a look at Heidi with your medkit and tricorder, and even Jasper. I'm assuming that you would like to understand more the effects of this devolution that's kind of occurring on them.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So to understand more about what is actually happening to them, 1 minute. It would be a reason plus science task, and the difficulty would be 3.
All right. I don't think any of my stuff applies. Nope. Pretty sure.
And don't forget your talent. So that's always there. So don't forget
Well,
that.
they didn't apply. I don't.
Oh, they would apply mainly in like field medicine and stuff that you already knew.
And I don't already know anything
Yes,
about the.
but once you do know something, then you are really quick at understanding.
Oh, I still have that untapped potential.
Go ahead and roll that, boss, so that you have it.
Is that a challenge die?
That's a challenge die, yes.
That's a challenge. Is that a challenge symbol?
That's an effect. So you rolled an effect. So I guess you get a momentum.
It adds 1 point to the threat. Just roll.
Oh, it adds 1 to the threat. I see.
Yeah, untapped potential. Basically, whenever I spend momentum and succeed, I can gain bonus momentum. But it increases the threat rating if I roll an effect.
I think we all have.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all ensigns, so we all have untapped potential.
I should have been keeping track of that then.
Yeah, that's
trying to roll 25.
Yeah, I was looking at that and I was like, well, wait a minute, I think some of us have it.
That's okay. That's fine.
We'll just have everybody have that in the back of their mind, so if people forget, then people are like, make sure you roll that challenge.
Man, we're gonna be untapping the heck out.
Cool. So Stalik, go ahead and roll your reason plus science to understand. Things have been moving so fast around you. You've been trying to kind of, unlock this mystery that's of this devolution. Go ahead.
Yeah, and he's gonna use. It was 3, right?
Yes, task difficulty 3. Yes.
He's gonna use. He's gonna buy 2 extra die, so use 3 momentum.
Perfect. Go for it.
No focus. Task difficulty 3.
Excellent. So, so you realize that as you kind of take the time to move your tricorder and and spend time looking at the readings in a now more calm and collected environment, without the fear of things attacking you and trying to get other beings around you in control. You realize that the blood cells of both Dr. Ship and Jasper are highly irradiated, and and it is actually kind of breaking down the DNA structure and again recombining them. So in many ways, it is affecting the DNA itself of the humanoid creature, thus causing devolution in them. You also, I would say, given the success that you had, you do a quick check on yourself and you find that, yes, you are also undergoing, your DNA is kind of being affected by this. Do you want to do a quick check on Salus and Boss to further confirm your readings?
If it's going to be quick, for sure, but he's pretty sure they're all going to be afflicted.
Correct. So you
I
have
just
now.
want to know how that would work on a joined trill. Because it's 2.
Yes, but it is still two. It's still two sentient beings, correct? So it's still a living being, and even you're joined, the host and the what's the technical term for the other being that you join with? I forget.
Symbiote.
The symbiote, yes. So even it would be having some effects on it, right? So anything living with with DNA and would be affected by the irradiation.
Yeah, you get double fought because there's two of you.
Cool. So, Stalik, you at this point have uncovered the mystery of what is actually causing the devolution.
So he's going. He wants to try irradiating them, or getting
Cool.
rid of the radiation in their cells.
Cool. So, kind of think of the things you're going to do. That would be your next task after this. I'm going to quickly jump to Amara and Renan.
Perfect.
So, Amara and Renan, you guys step out of the science station, and Amara, to try and find the plants that you're looking for, you can roll either insight plus science or reason plus science. Ghost, you there?
I'm sorry, man. I was having trouble with my internet. What happened?
Oh, okay. So while the rest are doing their tasks, it is you and Amara step out. Renan and Amara step out to try and find the samples for the cure for idiomorphic syndrome. To locate the samples, it would require an insight plus science or reason plus science.
Okay,
So basically, you're trying to look at your data pad and look at the plants and figure out which one that needs to be harvested.
I'm not sure which one's higher for him for that. Let me see. Reason.
Okay.
And what's the task difficulty?
The task difficulty for this is 2. To just find which of the plants you need to harvest.
And what momentum are we at right now?
You are at 3. When you click on your token, you'll see the green is your momentum.
So I rolled
Okay,
the
good.
challenge die, though. I got a 2. What does that mean for untapped potential? Did we get 2 extra momentum back?
Hold on. Untapped potential is
Should generate 2 additional momentum. Whenever the character succeeds at a task for which they bought 1 or more additional dice with either momentum or threat, they may roll 1 challenge die. The character receives bonus momentum equal to the challenge die and adds 1 point to threat if an effect is rolled.
cool. So that means you get 2 bonus momentums, right?
Yeah, if you rolled a number 2, that's 2 bonus momentum.
Cool. So then your momentum right now is at 5. Then
So I'll spend 1 for Zoet's test, definitely.
okay.
And let me make sure we see his focuses here. Would this count under sensor systems focus?
No, not really.
Okay.
If he had botany, it would have worked, but unfortunately, it doesn't.
Yeah, sensor's more of your ship sensor, long distance scans and ranges.
And task difficulty of 2.
Task difficulty of 2.
There it is.
Excellent. So you just to kind of give you a spatial place, you find that the necessary plants are somewhere around here in that region. You also notice though that while you're looking at the plants, that what you require unfortunately is also surrounded by plants that are harmful and poisonous, right? So while your tricorder was looking for these plants, it also beeped saying it is surrounded by plants that are also harmful. So you have to be careful during extraction. To put that into effect, I used some threat, so now the total threat is back to 10. Cool. Going back, to. Right. Salis and Boss. The Salis, at this point, the communication panel is completely booted up, and you can see that that the signal is strong, and that if you transmit, somebody should be able to receive it.
So Silas will turn and go, "Great work, boss. Transporter's next. I'm going to try to contact the Dharma."
Cool. Boss, are you ready for the transporter?
Yeah, be like going, yeah, by all means, be sure to transmit on Starfleet frequency first, then maybe some kind of mercantile lingo.
Cool. So let's do Salis and then we'll do Boss. So Salis, I want you to roll. I want you to roll Control plus Con with the task difficulty of 1.
Give me 1 second. I have to reload.
Okay. So when you reload, just roll that task difficulty 1, Control plus Con. Boss, I want you to do you can do a difficulty 0 task of reason and engineering to try and understand what's really wrong with the transporter unit.
I do have an applicable focus.
Correct, and this would be a little difficult. This is a task difficulty of 3, because you kind of need to kind of get into the control panels of the transporter to really figure out what has gone wrong.
Okay, because you initially said difficulty 1.
Oh, sorry. That was for Silas. It is difficulty 3. So
Okay.
you guys have 4 bonus momentum at this point.
So who's difficulty 3? I am. Silas is.
Yes, Silas's task
Okay.
is done.
And did you see Amora's challenge dice? Because she has untapped potential.
It was 6. We have 6.
Nice, awesome. So we have 6.
Oh, go ahead and keep it like that because I'm going to spend the 2 to get
Okay.
2 extra dice. There's 2 of them. Oh, not challenge die. Die 20.
I thought you bought. Yeah. Okay.
Ooh.
So close.
So, boss, you're just coming off fixing the communications panel under such quick time constraints. How does this work when that roll occurs? What is actually happening?
Initially I start going through the same motions and I get partially the way through it and I'm thinking, I've managed to identify that no, that can't be right because this is, blast it. Start getting furious, basically realize at the end, it says, something's not right here.
Cool. So you do get the sense that based on whatever you tried to figure out what's wrong with the transporter pad, that in this case it's not just the power conduits that have been ripped apart and need to be fixed. The computer program, the subroutine that actually handles the transporter sequence, is also offline. You are not sure what is actually brought it offline. I would say that is the side effect of not having been successful at the task. You might have to spend some more time to figure out what brought the computer program offline. So you do know that the 2 things affecting the transporter unit are the power conduits and the computer program.
Okay.
Cool. Salus, you are successful in activating the communications system, and what is it that you're broadcasting?
Probably just like it would be like an SOS signal, but like something that like signals that we need a transport in orbit.
Correct. So, who are you trying to reach out? Like, on what frequency?
Well, I'm going to send it out on Starfleet frequencies, so it can hopefully get a Starfleet ship.
Okay. And what is your message? And who are you reaching out to?
Well, hopefully the Dharma, but it's something like along the lines of like probably like SOS. We have secured a doctor as well as some victims of the virus, and then I say whatever the virus name is, and as well as a potential cure. We are looking for transport off the planet. And yeah.
Okay, cool. So, so you sent the. Yeah, what was that? Flora, you cut at the last part. What,
it's something more. It's something more professional than that, but that's the gist of it.
Okay. Cool. So your transmission has been sent, and you're basically expecting, hopefully, some response soon to kind of rescue you guys from the station. Stalik, moving to Stalik. You now know what is causing the devolution. You have any ideas that you would like to kind of study the symptoms first? You know the symptoms, but like what the progression is, or what could actually be, how you could actually go ahead and stop it.
Yeah. So whatever he knows about radiation and how to slow down, stop, or reverse.
Okay.
And then and then ask her if anything like that would be near, or if I don't think he has anything. He has more stuff that can stop like cuts and bruises. Not much, not anything like that on hand.
Yes, but you do know that given the fact that starships, starship power systems can have sometimes radiation leaks. So it is just a matter of kind of figuring out with your medkit and your tricorder how to program to detect that specific radiation. You do know at this point that it is the radiation that is causing it, but you have yet to kind of lock down on which particular radiation, right? Like there are different, like this gamma radiation, alpha beta radiation.
Because it could be something different than the storm, or it could be the same thing. It could be like the same. Yeah. All right. So
yeah, this particular task is a mixture of both. So it's trying to detect and then figure out how to stop it. Sounds good.
Yeah. So that would be like science, control, or.
Yeah, science and control. Let's see.
Quick study may apply.
Yeah, quick study may apply. Let's look at quick study. So you can ignore any difficulty, increased unfamiliarity when you're trying to. That's actually medical procedure or treat. So this is not yet treat. Hold on. So
right. This is still. Yeah, we're still in the diagnose stage. This happened earlier.
Yes. Correct. Right. So this is a task difficulty of, I would say, of 3, and it's a control plus science. And I would say your emergency medicine focus applies because you are trying to do triage in the field and figure out what is what the root symptom is.
And not only that, but I'm trying to save us as well because I know that we have the same illness. So at this point, it's not only saving them, but I'm trying to save us.
So go ahead. If you want to use any bonus or determination, you're free to.
Oh yeah, he's gonna use a. You said it was difficulty 3.
Difficulty of 3.
Yeah, he was gonna use 1, but also I'm looking at my values real fast.
Sure.
It just took me forever to find my sheet. I mean, they don't really apply strongly, loosely. So yeah, he'll just use 1 and.
Okay.
Actually, can I use 2 and?
You would have to use.
No,
3.
never mind. I'll just use 1. That's what I meant. Get the use 3, but I'll just use 1. Applicable
Okay.
focus, yes.
Nice. Awesome. So, and go ahead and roll your untapped potential because you bought it.
Yep.
Just to see if that regenerates. Oh, okay.
So nothing.
Cool. So you with a tricorder and programming it to detect for specific radiation, you basically kind of go through all the different radiations that are known, right? The different radiation spectrums that are known, and you kind of even finally lock down on this on something called a theta radiation, and you sense that the theta radiation is actually breaking apart the DNA and kind of recombining them in almost, and that's what's causing the devolution. You also, while doing this, detect that there's theta radiation all around you right now, and you sense that this is because of the ion storm. Being a man of science and medicine that you are, you know that the one sure shot cure for something like this is to leave an area of radiation. That is generally the most simplest cure at this point, right? But given the circumstances and what's really happening, you know that is not a viable solution. So you are able to also, since you know it's a theta radiation, you know that you can program your medkit and tricorder to basically come up with a dose that you can basically give to a humanoid creature and reduce the effects of the theta radiation.
He would be doing that for both of them then.
Cool. So that would be a
Probably
separate role to come up with the actual program and the dosage. So we'll get to that next round. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Cool. Outside, Amara, you now know that what plants need to be harvested, and you know that the amount required will take you 3 attempts to get all the necessary plants. Given the fact that you're trying to do this, Ghost, you there? I'm just making sure. Okay, cool. I didn't want to just talk into.
No, you're fine.
Okay, given the fact that you're trying to get at these plants, which is also surrounded by other plants that are that are harmful to you, this is going to be a daring plus security task.
This is for Zoet or Chan?
This is for Zoet. So the first task is of difficulty 3. Of daring and security.
Alright, and we're at 3 momentum. I will use one,
Okay.
I think. I'm tempted to get 2, but we'll try this. Check here. Nope, no focus. Here we go. For 3 difficulty task.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So Amara is. So how does this look, Amara?
So it's pretty much like surrounded by plants that are dangerous to get in here and get to these samples. So it's just furiously going through his tricorders here to see, okay, this is plan. This goes through, like, all right, this looks like the correct path, and so it's this very careful, very calculated, but also very quick step through. As some spores or maybe passing by or something or another, just so we can get into the in between, in sort of a safe zone for where that is.
Nice.
And we have 4 momentum after challenge die.
And just as that happens, as Amara is getting that, and I'm going to update the momentum, Renan, you see on the other side 3 Neanderthal-looking humanoids pop up. They're kind of grunting and howling. They're coming off from the how do you say, like the rock face that is behind the science station. They seem to be coming out from the bushes over there. At the present moment, they are all at medium range from you. And you have 3 of these humanoids coming at you. So that would be, how do you say?
That would be bad, is what it would be.
Cool. So what does Renan do when he sees them?
I would warn Amara to kick into action. I'm probably going to try to just disable him. Set her phaser set to stun.
Perfect. So let's do combat a little bit, because I think I made mistakes last time. So you can do a minor action and a task in every turn. A minor action could be aim or prepare. So in your case, if setting your thing to stun, and setting it to a specific charge, right? So phasers can be set to different charges. You can do an area effect. You can do like vicious hits or incapacitating hits and so on and so forth.
So if I can put it to stun but also do the charge, it's probably going to be an area effect.
Perfect. And you know from your last round that sometimes area effects will also enemies that are very close, in close quarters with each other, can get affected by the area.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So you go first. This would be a phaser attack, and you do have focus because you are skilled in hand phasers.
And I'll use one of our momentum to get an additional die.
Okay. Nice. That definitely hits. Roll damage. Excellent. So you do 5 damage with 3 effects, which is basically for an area effect. It is every person that is within close range of the main target. So up to 2 more people can get affected. So who are you targeting? I'm assuming
aiming at the middle one, because my thinking is that I know I'm going to try to go for an area effect on these 3. They're kind of close to each other at the time. I'm just going to try to hit the one in the middle.
Perfect. So this guy, just make sure. So you hit them for 5. And you can see them kind of flinch and kind of scream and holler at back at you. Oh, that's a threat.
+1 to threat.
Okay, perfect. So they in turn are going to attack. They're going to throw a stone at you. So this one's going to attack. And the stone completely whizzes past you, Renan. One more stone is going to come at you because you were the one who fired. That does
pretty
hit.
good.
Yep. For 3, so reduce your stress by 3. So if you click on your token, you can reduce your stress by 3.
That's the 15.
Yeah, the 15. So it becomes 12.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one is going to try and throw a stone at Amara to distract her. And that just whizzes past Amara's head.
That's a success.
No, it's a
difficulty 2.
Oh, no,
I'm because he's throwing a stone. It's kind of ranged. So generally, ranged things are task difficulty 2, and melee is task difficulty 1.
Mm-hmm.
To give also, I would say in this combat round, when you looked around, you know that if you kind of hide behind this banister and kind of crouch, you would get some cover from their incoming attacks. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So I'm gonna move back. Oh, I forgot to even. Okay. Move back here. So Salis, you hear on the radio. This is Captain Nobunaga. What is the status on Xerxes 4?
It's I don't know how to say not great in a professional manner.
It's just respond how you to someone professionally, like.
It is not going well, Captain.
What is the status report there? Have you made contact with the science team?
One who's still not affected. We're gathering those that have been affected.
I see.
Ensign Hogg is currently working on the transporter. We're trying to get it up and running so that we can transport out of here once we have everything ready.
Ensign Salis, am I mistaken? But if I'm not mistaken, you and your team went there on a runabout. So where are you planning to transport to?
We were hoping that you would get the Dharma into orbit.
Why? What is the situation on the ground? It is not clear from your messages as to why do you need to be transported out of there.
The storm is approaching very quickly. We would not be able to get back to the runabout in time.
I see. How many of you? Is everybody in your team is safe and sound?
I can confirm for myself, Ensign Hogg, and Ensign Stalik, but as for Ensign John and Ensign Zoet, I'm not entirely sure. They went out to retrieve the herbs that the doctor requested.
I see. And what is the timeline for the storm to approach?
Has it been about an hour that we're here?
I would say it's been about an hour that you have been here.
So 2 hours?
So
Is that right?
the moment you say 2 hours, you were actually keeping an eye on the storm, correct? Who was keeping an eye on the storm?
Yep, I was keeping an eye on the storm. Well, I wasn't. I was doing the.
You cut out there. I didn't catch that. Flura, I didn't catch that last part. What was that?
Somebody's supposed to have a tricorder that is keeping an eye on the storm. Mine, but I don't know who it was.
Okay. Who was keeping an eye on the storm?
I think it's Zoe.
Zoe. Okay. So, cool. So, Salis, you tell the captain that it's gonna be 2 hours till the storm hits the station.
Yes.
Okay.
Approximately 2 hours.
Okay. Cool. So the captain says, "All right, that should give us enough time to get there and transport you, the team, and the science officers off the planet. Stand by, Ensign Salis, for further instructions."
Affirmative.
Stalik. No, actually not Stalik. Boss. Given what you know on this, now that you see that Salis is actually able to reach out to the USS Dharma, you now know that getting the transporter up and running is of the utmost priority. You can go ahead and start working on fixing the power conduits.
Okay, definitely. If I hear him having communicate, yeah, I'm assuming just audio. Am I muted? Okay.
No, I can hear you. Yeah, I thought you were going to say something more. So.
Oh no, I'm assuming I could hear him probably the captain's voice or whatever. Then I definitely first I'd ask for confirmation. I go, "Were you able to reach anybody?"
Flora, I think he's asking you because you were the last person to talk to the captain.
Seems like everyone's having communicator trouble.
Boss, assume that Flora does this.
Assuming he said, yeah, he was able to reach the captain, I'll just be like, blasted it, says, "I'll do what I can. No guarantees, but I'll manage to get something up and running." You said I can actually try to fix it because I did have other things. I could try to isolate the problem and then fix it if I had to. If I had momentum to spend, I can always default to jury rigging.
Yes, right now I believe you all have one momentum to spend right now in the pool.
I wouldn't rely on jury rigging unless it was a last chance because you had to spend one momentum turn to extend it.
Cool. You can remember. You can also, given the situation, add to the threat pool to get more momentum.
Yeah.
So if you want like one additional die, that would be one threat. If you want 2 dice, that would be like one threat per die. Unlike momentum, it's one threat per die. So in your case, you know that you first need to fix the power conduits and then figure out what's wrong with the computers. So fixing the power conduits is a similar task that you just did for the communications panel. and the power conduits look the same, so you know how to fix it. So this is an easier task. It would be a control plus engineering with a task difficulty of 2, as opposed to 3 like the last time.
Is that kind of backwards though? Wouldn't I have to identify the problem before I could fix it?
You actually identified the problem in the previous round. You've identified the problem as to 2 things. One is the power conduit itself that has been kind of ripped apart and needs to be fixed. And the second thing was the computer subroutines that actually control the transporter functionality. You know that they are down, but you don't know what's causing them. That was the problem with the task. Like you were not fully successful. So on the computers, you need to spend some.
Okay. What's difficulty 2, right?
Difficulty 2, yes.
Incisive scrutiny would help because that's only on obtaining information. Basically, when I succeed on a task using control or insight, I can gain 1 bonus momentum, which has to be used on obtaining information. But
yeah, that's actually good. Yeah, definitely do that.
Yeah, I'll spend the momentum on it. Task difficulty 2. Then
Jesus.
That'll be 5, be 3. It'll be 3 momentum added to the pool, 1 bonus momentum, which I'll use to obtain information with scrutiny.
Nice. This is boss. You're the man.
And then I'll do my challenge die.
Do that.
So it'll be
4 momentum. Nice.
He's a badass.
He's a badass. He's definitely a badass. So this is how it's going to play out. This is perfect. So boss, what you do is you fix all the power conduits quickly and efficiently, just like the last time on the communications panel. As you're fixing the power conduits, your mind is racing as to why really that the subroutines that control the transporter functions are actually down, and it kind of hits you then that basically the system was powered down incorrectly. Once the power conduits are all fixed, and you take the time to boot the sequence up, boot the computer up correctly, and run a level 2 diagnostic, fixing the subroutines that were having issues, the transporter would be fully functional.
Okay, muttering and sputtering. Oh, wait, you can't. Bang. Plotting a slot, man, and he finally just reach up and spit, and he'll hear the energized sound of a familiar transporter go. You're like, I told you it wouldn't get the best of me.
Nice. Awesome. Stalik. You there?
Definitely relay on the comm badge to everyone. It says, we have communications and transporters up and around, and try to lock onto I want to try to lock onto their comm badge too, see if I can identify where they're at.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm here.
Perfect. So Stalik, you have identified the cause, you have identified which exact radiation it is, and you've also identified your method of not method of delivery, but the actual configuration of your medkit and tricorder. It now comes to determining how you're going to deliver it and who you're going to try it out on first. Given that it is an untested, how do you say, remedy, right?
Yeah, so actually that's what he says to her. He says, I have never tried this before, so if it does not work, I do not know what will happen. And then he looks at the already like further along person and says, we should try on him first. And I assume however he has it set up, it can be something that's either, I'm not sure if the tricorder can administer it, but he may have to like put something in intravenously into him. So he's either like prodding him with the tricorder or poking him with something connected to a bag of some sort.
Air hypo. That's what most Star Trek stuff was just air
it would be
hypos.
like the air hypos. Yes, that's a good point. So basically, you are looking through your medkit, coming up with a concoction of different what do you call them? I don't have the medical term tip of my lip. But let's just say like inhibitors that would counteract the radiation, right? So you're able to create with your knowledge of what needs to be done. This would be the actual cure and the administering of the cure.
Which makes quick study relevant.
Which makes quick study relevant. Correct. So, given the fact that this is an unknown to you, the task difficulty was actually at 4. The fact that you are a quick study and this is your expertise in handling things of the nature unknown, the task difficulty is 2. It is going to be a daring plus medicine roll. And I would say your emergency medicine focus still applies.
I'm going to use a momentum as well.
Cool. Nice.
Thankfully, I did.
And then roll your challenge die to see if it.
Yep. It is a 0 again.
So, you know, what does this look like? How are you curing Jasper, and how are you creating this?
And you said it's just like one shot, right? Like that's what it would normally be.
Yes, one shot, and then you can reprogram it.
Right. So yeah, he after he gets done typing everything in, he says, I give this a 90% chance of success, like looking at the woman and then just right into the neck, like the jugular, as close as he can get to somewhere that's going to administer it quickly, injects the man and immediately probably begins to recover. I don't know what, I can't remember what you said what he looked like, but
yeah. So as soon as you administer it, there is I would say about 10-15 seconds, nothing really happens. But then you start seeing slow but gradual changes. The irregular heartbeat of Jasper is starting to as soon as you administer it, you just take your tricorder again and start taking readings, and you see that Jasper is starting to calm down. Like the irregular and rapid heartbeat is calming down. The nervousness in his eyes is starting to slowly. There is some nervousness. It's not like it doesn't disappear immediately. Just he starts to calm down. You can clearly see.
Yeah, and he would immediately put away or set away his tricorder and begin recalculating and say to the woman, I believe you are next.
Excellent. So now we'll go to the action outside. Sean, you now have these 3 Neanderthals coming towards you. They are now getting close to close range. You can still do a phaser attack and try and subdue them.
I will indeed.
Go for it.
And I think I have the setting that I want, so I would aim. And let's see, what does an aim provide?
172. A character may re-roll a single d20 made on an attack before the start of their next turn. So if something went not so well, then you can just re-roll that d20.
Sounds good to me. Let's go ahead and take that shot.
Nice.
And we're at 3 momentum. I will use a momentum. Here we go. Oh my god.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if he really needed that momentum.
Probably didn't, but we're gonna get
Whatever.
2 back now, so. And then,
Nice. So you generated 2 additional momentum at this point, correct?
Yep.
Awesome. And so you kind of, how does this look? Given the damage and the effect you have done, these 3 definitely get knocked out.
So it would probably be one of those things where they're too close together, and you know how you've seen the Star Trek before when you do like an area type effect on people in the shows. It's just like there's that field that goes around everybody and just sort of shocks them, or however they handle it with the phasers, where they just incapacitate them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're using group mob tactics, just trying to run up on me and get close, assuming they just trying to beat me up, and I just fire the phaser at the central one. It spreads out from him, and they all get caught in this sort of like phaser bubble for a moment until they are dropped and stunned, knocked out.
Excellent. Cool. So that happens, and in the meanwhile, Amara is like, I just need to get one last sample. So this is going to be her final. What is she running? Just want to check it. Security plus daring, but this time the task difficulty is 1. She spent enough time looking at these plants and knowing which ones are the she needs to harvest. So it's daring plus security. So security task with daring, the difficulty is 1.
Still gonna use a momentum for that.
Sounds
You
good.
can never be too careful.
Nice. And then roll a challenge die.
Just
Cool.
get back a new one.
So Amara is able to collect all of the necessary herbs and plants necessary for the cure, as per Dr. Ship's notes. And just as she's finishing that that task, and she looks around and she sees what you have done and kind of taken these hostiles out and incapacitated them. Her tricorder starts beeping.
Oh man, what is it? The tricorder for the storm?
So I sent you a private message.
Ooh, I think that Zoe would immediately get on comms and report that in for the.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so looking at comms and then looking at the tricorder and then hitting the comms to talk to Hog and Stalick and everybody who's inside. So I've got bad news. The storm's gonna be here in 30 minutes.
Yeah, I guess that's Stalick was just, if nobody else said anything. Yeah. Did you guys hear that? What's our exit or exfil? Extraction.
bringing him inside. What's the plan now that we have this new deadline?
I don't know. I have a radical idea. Maybe I could use the station's transporters. Maybe I could beam us in small groups to the runabout. I'm not quite sure if the Dharma's going to make it here in time.
Alright, I'm bringing him in. Figure it out when you get in there. Be quick. So bring him in.
So between person bring conscious static just much better. And I would say that while models were traveling outside,
say to her at this point, we must save your research. Or I guess, how far is Ghost?
At this point, they're just coming in with the additional 3.
He would definitely rush to their aid, inviting the doctor along. Then if he can make more doses, begin giving them doses as well.
Excellent. So you show Dr. Ship how to program her tricorder and medkit to create more doses, and you guys, between the two of you, quickly start administering doses on these humanoids.
If you have any data here that you wish to transmit to the runabout, I suggest you do it now.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I shall do that right after I give my team these doses. So, boss, your idea, has a lot of merit. That the Dharma might not be here in time, given this new information. Through your training, that transporters can always be programmed and reprogrammed to different things. You can definitely try and reprogram the transporter to transport to the location of the runabout.
Yeah,
but
Go ahead.
But it would require some computer skills.
Yeah, because I kind of figured it would be a matter of ping-ponging back from communications array to establish a link to the runabout. Use that to translocate it as a base operation. Like, okay, the signal's there. I can then calibrate the transporters to transport around it.
Correct. So this would be, that this requires some computer knowledge in addition to the engineering knowledge. Would you ask anybody around you if they have certain skills to help you out with this?
Yeah. Is anyone here trained to be the communications officer or anything?
Um,
Be the science officer, definitely.
Yes. So
There are, I believe.
Was she trained to?
No. So this would be an actual computer programming, right? So it's what you said was to you're going to you can use your communication to locate where your runabout is, but you would need to reprogram the transporter itself to do to transport you guys to that precise location. Its current programming is to like transport to like a starship or something like that. So
we're looking for what, a discipline, science discipline, and any kind of focuses in computers.
Correct. So when you say that, Amara kind of pipes up saying, "Yes, I can program the computers. Just tell me what I need to do, and I shall do it."
Need you to establish a direct communique to our runabout. Once you do it, we'll try to translocate its location. I know the rough dimensions of that, so I can guess the spot would be to transport around the ship. Don't we have a map of our travels too that somebody established?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So
so definitely, ask whoever's got that to do the 3-dimensional rotation around it, and I can find a good spot to use that to transport. Because we're going to be transporting a machine that will probably hold about 4 people, 5 people tops at a time. I don't know.
Yeah. It would be 4 people every round. So sounds good. So Amara will be doing what is that? A daring plus science to try and program the computer systems and the communication array to work correctly. Boss, in your case, it would be a daring plus engineering to kind of get the whole thing set up on your end. So let me roll hers. Depending on how well she succeeds, things on your end may become easier or difficult. Sound good?
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
So
focus in computer modeling, by the way.
Focus in computer modeling, and it's a task difficulty of 3. So
definitely.
I'm going to use 1 momentum from her. Science plus daring. 3d20. Focus applicable. Task difficulty 3. Yes. Nice. And then challenge die. Nice. Cool. So we still have 3 momentum. Perfect. So Amara is able to quickly, like, in the heat of the moment, she's able to quickly program the computer, and she says, "Yes, I have it. I have the coordinates for the runabout, the exact coordinates, and the subroutine that will help the transporter to transport us right there. But boss, you will need to kind of amp up and increase the power output of the transporter. The storm is actually interfering a lot with the location."
For the first time you've ever been around Boss, you actually see him smile. And he looks at her and he says, "I'm on it."
So in your case, boss, it would have been a difficulty of 3, but given the excellent success that Amara just got, it's a now task difficulty of 2, daring plus engineering, with your focus applicable for the power systems that you're trying to amp up.
We'll spend a momentum.
Sounds good.
It's a difficulty 2.
Nice.
Outrageous.
1 gets put into the pool, and threat goes up 1 level, but also another one goes in, so 2 goes to the pool, and the threat increases by 1.
Okay. Awesome. So you guys are now at 5.
Before, because I spent 1 but I gained 2.
Oh, okay. So 4. Perfect. So, boss, you are able to program the. You're able to amp up the power output. You're free to role play that if you like.
Basically, just going through, grumbling through, like, we can shut down this. move the power there, and basically see the green light go down to yellow on one side and to green on the other, and then see like basically a bunch of stuff's into low yellows, and then one big green light is going, I think I have it. Who's going to be first?
Excellent question. So who's going to be first among?
Renan would speak up, and I think we need to get the pilot over first with the patients there, so we can get them all situated. And then I would go next.
And advise the doctor to go with the patients to make sure they're properly sedated.
Stalik says, I will go with the patients provided someone goes with the doctor here to get her research.
When you say that, Heidi kind of remembers and she starts running to the other console and says, I'll be here. I'll make it with you. I'm just going to start up all my into the runabout computer databases through the communications that you guys have set up. Go ahead. I'll make it out of the rest who are in here. And boss, you know that at any time right now, 4 people can be transported.
Doctor with the patients?
Yeah, so Stalik, was it Stalik, Amara, and 2 patients?
I would say, I think Renan's choice of sending Salis would make sense. So she can start the ship and get all of it going.
Yeah.
Alright, so that works. 2 patients, and then...
Yeah, I was about to say Renan, Amara, and Salis should go first. That way they could provide cover for when I beam the others on.
Perfect. So, Renan... Oh, what do you say, boss? Sorry, I missed that.
I was saying, if you take the security officer along with the pilot, and then along with Amara, those 3 go first. They could provide cover fire for anything that might be around the ship. And then once I get the all clear, I can transport the prisoners, the captives, with the medical officer there. That way they have support for when they're beaming down, not just one person.
I see. Okay, so are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine. But also, these people, they're like basically cured now, correct?
Yes, they are cured, but they're also incapacitated. So
Right.
you can see that the effects are starting to wear away.
Okay, cool. So they still need to be carried and whatnot, of course.
Yeah, there's no idea what their mental state's going to be when they wake up either. So
For sure.
it's best to let them sleep it out like hospital rest.
Sounds good. So, in interest of time, I would say you guys all end up transporting to the other side. First, Salis. No, what was the first sequence? 2 of the patients, Stalik and Renan.
I believe it was Amara, Renan,
And Salis first, those 3.
Okay, Amara, Renan, and Salis go there first. Then the rest follow.
Then I would tell Dr. Ship or whatever, and Jasper, get Jasper onto the transport. Start working on a delay transporter, basically an auto sequence, like taking a group selfie, set it on a timer and then jump in there and wait for it.
Sounds good. 1 minute.
Because we can always hit a line of communicate to the Dharma. And probably have to boost its power to get off planet with all these people in it.
Yep. So at this point, you guys are all end up with the sequence you just specified. You guys all end up at the ship, and just then as you end up, you see in the skyline. You guys can see the new map. Yeah. So you guys see the storm kind of thundering up in the sky. There's a lot of ridiculous amounts of electrostatic discharge, thunder, lightning. So you guys get on the ship, I'm assuming. What's the final role play over here?
Yeah, as soon as we get on the ship, Stalik administers one more dose to the restrained fella that's in the ship. That I hope is still there.
No time for dilly-dallying.
Yeah, I'm just getting
Salas
people buckled in.
says like leaps her own chair and buckles herself in.
Sounds good.
I immediately buckle in, but I'm like flip stuff because I know that, but knowing we're gonna have to judge the weight and determine our maximum weight capacity, and I'm gonna have to try to come up with a way of boosting for the extra cargo. I got a feeling. Because how many is there actually? There's 4, 6 extra people, so there's 11 of us crammed in here.
Correct. 11 of you crammed in here. Some of the Neanderthals are on the floor. Some of you are all strapped in. Stalik is kind of trying to keep them safe while Salas is kind of powering up the runabout, making sure that all the boot up sequences is good to go.
John would have given up his seat or area for some of the patients, for sure. Self-endanger first.
Does Boss still have the rope?
Yes, I think he does. Yes.
Yeah, the vines have been with us.
Yeah, Stalik would suggest using. Maybe we could use some of that rope to keep everyone safe.
And Salas will look over her shoulder and go, "Whatever we're doing, we got to do it fast."
Yeah, like don't wait for us to do stuff. Like if you have to take off and go. Like.
Oh, I'm not. I'm already programmed, trying to figure out algorithms and weight capacity ratio, what I can do to still maintain our shield. So we may have to go on minimal life support for our initial takeoff. But in the midst of it, I'm going to elbow communication to the Dharma. And if I get an active ping back, meaning that they're receiving it, I'm just going to turn back. I'm going to go, "John, you're on the comm. Tell the captain what we're doing."
So I would reach out. This is runabout, whatever runabout we have, to Dharma. Runabout to Dharma.
This is Captain Nobunaga of the USS Dharma. Is this the runabout with my ensigns?
Yes, Captain Nobunaga. This is Security Ensign Chan. We have successfully completed our transport back to the runabout. We are about to take off.
Good. Is everything okay down there?
The storm is almost right on top of us. We're going to try to find a good vector to get out.
Well then stop talking to me and get out of there.
Understood, Captain. Just giving you an update. Ensign John signing off.
Perfect. Salas, at this point, you have the ship completely powered up and it's ready to go. I need you to make a. How are you taking off? Given all that's happening around you, with the storm coming down, with the folks being strapped down, some of them lying on the floor. How are you taking off from this planet?
Well, I'm hoping that I can make a smooth takeoff, and then from there we can see how daring or in control I need to be.
Sounds good. So make a con plus control with task difficulty 1.
If he's on his phone, you might have to roll.
No,
Are you on your phone?
I'm back.
Oh, okay, you're back. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I fixed it. I restarted it like 3 times in a row, and I fixed it.
I know that
How much,
well.
Yeah. How much momentum do we have?
There's 4 points.
4 points.
Okay. Then I'm gonna spend 1. Do I have a... I guess I don't. I would say astro navigation, but we're not in space.
Not yet.
Oh, wow.
Did you have your token clicked by chance?
Yeah, because it says 11 control, 4 con.
Oh no.
That's a 20, that's a 19, and that's a 17.
Wait, what is that?
That's a 20, a 19, and a 17.
17. So Amara, sorry, not Amara, Salis, this is perfect. So Salis, as you start powering up the ship and you're trying to get it going in air, suddenly like you can hear the engines like kind of wobble, like, woof, and it kind of shuts down, and you look across to the other console at Boss.
I look to Boss and go, we're obviously not pushing enough power to those thrusters.
So our momentum dropped to 3.
Yep.
If I was to try and boost it, what would my difficulty rating be?
I would say your difficulty rating would be 2 at this point. To try and kind of rejig the power, remove the shields. Because right now you're kind of in a race where you need to get off the planet, then re-enable the shields, then thrust out of the planet. So you're like flying all over the keyboard.
Oh no, okay, never mind. Jerry rigs only repairs. Is the runabout considered part of my ship? Would I know this? Is
Yes.
my ship? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's only determine the source of the technical problem. That's easy to figure out. To obtain information. Yeah, it'd be a difficulty 2 then. This is what type of engine? It's not a warp engine. It's what electric plasma power system.
Yeah.
Have an applicable focus. Starfleet is taught. I don't have any determination to spend. Be a simple matter of asserting direct control over everything, control and engineering. With an applicable focus, I basically go, not on my watch. Just be prepared to hold your breath, and basically cut minimum life support. Basically disable the auxiliary lights, like the little blinking lights for space and stuff. Basically focusing all the power into our thrusters. I guess I'm basically, if I'm going to be in a nut situation like this, I'd have to disable the whole bipolarization thing too. I basically need to get us into space, and secluded. So yeah, do control, and I will spend 1 momentum and difficulty 2.
Nice.
So that will add the 1 that I just spent, so it goes back.
Perfect. So Flora, you Silas, you see that Boss is kind of having his flying on the control panel next to you, and suddenly the ship powers up fully, and you're able to take off. As you start rising up into the atmosphere, there is you're buffeted by massive winds and electrostatic discharges. Boss is doing the best he can to keep the power output stable, but sometimes the power does dip and things start flickering. At this point, in front of you, there is large, massive storm clouds that you need to navigate through. What is your plan of attack? How are you going to go about it?
Well, it's not like we have enough time where I could push through the computers or energy where I could push through the computers like last time and be like, get us the safest route. More, I've got to play this thing by ear.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you gain determination again?
It's when you kind of change one of your values. So I would say that you always believe that tech has its limits, and you know how to you know when not to push it. But this is one of those times where tech has to be pushed, where you have to save lives and push it to the max.
Threat
Yep.
level went up 1, by the way.
Ah, perfect. I needed that. Cool. So I would say Silas is her value of
No limits of tech.
tech is challenged, and
Yep.
are you ready to overcome that view of yours?
Yeah. And I know just how to roleplay it too.
Perfect. Go for it.
Silas goes. She kind of, her eyes go into slits and she goes, "Come on, baby, we can do this." And she's just gonna play it by ear, and she's gonna listen to the Force, and she's gonna let the Force pilot her.
Mhm. Cool.
She's gonna try her best to get through.
So you have 1 point of determination, which you can use. That gives you two automatic successes. This task is pretty difficult. It's a task difficulty of 4. Are you flying the runabout quickly and securely, or are you being daring about this? What is your approach going to be?
Let's see. If I did it quickly and securely, it'd be control con, right?
Yes, control and con.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Cool. So roll your control plus con, task difficulty 4, and your
Spending a moment because this needs to be done.
yes, and I would say your evasive maneuvers come into focus here, trying to kind of jink around all this electrostatic discharge.
Evasive action. Okay.
Yes. So applicable focus
That's
also.
difficulty of 4,
4.
and I'm gonna use my determination too.
Which adds 2 to it, so you pass. So how does this look to everybody else in the ship as you fly out of the storm?
I mean, it's probably not as impressive to everyone in the ship as it is to me, because all they probably see is like this billowing darkness as the lights kind of fade as she pushes more power into thrusters to burst through these clouds and swerve around the unpredictable flashes of lightning, electromagnetic discharge. And it's probably more just her like sitting there, and like it's not really super impressive looking. She feels like it looks a lot more impressive than it actually is.
Awesome. So with that, you guys are suddenly like break out of the atmosphere of Xerxes and come to orbit. And just as you guys come to orbit, out of warp drops the USS Dharma right there.
The runabout would be hailed.
Once we got to orbit, I'd be restoring normal ship functions.
And Silas would just like slouch back a bit and take a deep breath.
Who's gonna answer the hail?
Yes.
This is Captain Nobunaga. Runabout, are you okay?
Affirmative, Captain.
Good. Then bring her in. What do you need? Sick bay? Engineering?
Both, Captain.
And Dharma flies at a vector where you can pilot the ship into the bay.
I thought as a security team to be waiting on hand as well.
I'll be there personally, Ensign.
Excellent. So while Silas pilots the runabout into the shuttle bay of the Dharma, and she brings it to land, and and from the shuttle exit the 5 new Starfleet officers, followed by Dr. Ship and Jasper, who can walk and is getting his strength back. The rest of the Neanderthal looking like humanoids are still unconscious, but their features are slowly changing. All of you do not feel any more effects of the radiation or the ion storm. I open the table for any closing role play between the rest of you, and if there's captain on the deck.
Yeah, the captain. So as you depart, you see this smallish man, probably 5'5", but extremely fit from what you can tell, and young, in his 30s probably. And he's standing there watching as you disembark, and he's got his arms kind of like, he's got his hands behind his back, just kind of waiting and just watching as you come out. And obviously the pips on his shirt are of the captain, right?
Do you all say anything to the captain?
Yeah, as the moment Stalek walked off and saw the captain, he would, do they salute in Star Trek?
There's like tradition to like, I don't know if they salute, but there's like,
Yeah, he would be like,
there's something that you would do when you encounter the captain, and we do that.
yeah, he would do the whole nod and captain thing.
Yeah, it's more like you kind of stand at, like, it's not like a salute, but you like
It's just like stand at ready.
stand at ready and nod and acknowledge
The captain.
Yeah, and the captain looks over, but go ahead.
Then I would be carrying out one of the passengers.
Yeah. He's
Boss-
basically... Go ahead.
Go ahead, boss.
No, go ahead.
boss.
No, go ahead.
I was about to say, boss would probably be one of the last people out, basically making sure the ship's okay and stuff. And when he does get out, and if a crew's up over there, he'll be gesticulating at them, going and says the doctor here has transmitted data to our core. I advise you scan it first for any kind of contaminants or viruses, then upload it to the ship system for further review. And then basically that by that time he realizes the captain is on deck, and he immediately gets all flustered, snaps to almost full attention because he's still pretty new to this whole Starfleet thing, and goes all wide-eyed like, oh man, the big guy's here.
Yeah, the captain dismisses that with doesn't even say anything, just kind of steps forward and looks and nods to his XO, what's his name, Ranjit, and there's a flourish of activity as people are coming into the room to assist you and whatnot. He just nods and he says, "Well, ensigns, welcome to the USS Dharma."
It's a pleasure, Captain.
Fine-looking ship you have here.
He nods and simply says, "After you're done here, I'll have someone see the quartermaster come to show you to your quarters, and then we'll talk about all this."
Of course, Captain.
Excellent. And with that, there's a fade to black, and the rescue at Xerxes 4 was successful. While you guys were able to rescue the doctor and most of the science staff, find enough research and samples necessary for possibly curing Irumodic syndrome, who knows. And a very adventurous outing on an unknown planet. But you were able to make it back alive.
A hell of an indoctrination. Go meet our new captain. Oh, wait a minute.
Go meet your new captain. Also, Ion Storm.
Cool. And
Neanderthals who throw rocks.
you guys
Try
can
to
pause the
beat you to
recording.
death.